the one and the only Diana Ross and the Supremes. That is Stop in the Name of Love, a number one hit. Back in 1965, it reached number one on Billboard's pop singles chart in March of 1965. Went to number two that year on the soul chart. Stop in the Name of Love was also named to Billboard's 100 Greatest Girl Group Songs of All Time. And in 2001, the song was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Stop in the Name of Love also made Rolling Stone's list of the top 500 greatest songs of all time. And it was my choice to start this Friday show, All Request Friday, as we wrap up Black History Month and celebrate Motown with your requests on the show today. Stop in the Name of Love. Good Friday morning. It is the 27th of February. Is it just me, or did this week start going faster as it went along? I don't know, but it felt that way to me. By about Wednesday, I was thinking, what do you mean it's only Wednesday? This week has felt like a month already. And then all of a sudden you blink and whammo, bammo, it is Friday morning. And the usual Friday fun and games coming up, along with All Requests, where we play your Motown favorites. We're going to have your not $1 million question, where I ask you a question, and if you can come up with the answer, I cannot give you $1 million. But gosh, are we going to be impressed with you? We'll spend the weekend talking about how intelligent you are, just like happened last night over at Catalyst 137 on Glasgow Street. That's where United Way Waterloo Region Communities held its fourth annual corporate trivia night. I was given the privilege once again of acting as the MC/quizmaster last night. We had a whole bunch of fun and a couple of accountants, accounting tables, groups of accountants. What do you call a group of accountants anyway? Probably just a group of accountants, or in this case, a bunch of really smart people, because it was two teams of accountants that placed first and second last evening. The Balance Sheet Bandits taking home the prize. We had a little bit of fun between the city of Kitchener and the city of Waterloo to see which team would score better at the challenge. I'm going to keep those results to myself. If either of the municipalities would like to share with you how they fared last night, the bottom line is the United Way Waterloo Region Communities fared very well, because it was a sold-out event. And it's just tons of fun. There was some good-spirited competition in the room, a lot of fun had, some good food enjoyed, and we celebrated community. And I got to say, I got a kick out of a couple of the questions, one specifically that was directly related to this show, and it left me in a very difficult spot. The question was, which team is forever known as this show, or on this show, as the team that shall not be named? And of course, I am the person whose job it is to read the questions and then give the options A, B, C, D, because it's multiple choice. And then later on, it is my job. I am contractually obligated to United Way Waterloo Region Communities to give the answer to that question. So how can I can read the question, what team shall forever be known as the team that shall not be named on the Mike Farwell Show? But then I can't give the options. One of the options was the Boston Bruins. One of the options was the Toronto Maple Leafs. I can't remember the third option. And then the fourth option was the team that shall not be named. But I can't say that team's name. You put me in a pickle, United Way Waterloo Region Community. So I just called on one of the other staff members from United Way and said, hey, Brooke, can you come over here and read this question? And then when it came to the answers, I had Brooke read the answers too. I'm not saying that team's name. I know that the team that I cheer for had its hiney handed to it in the state of Florida this week, but I will not say that team's name on the air or elsewhere. Oh my goodness. Terrible stuff. They tried to trick me. I didn't fall for it. I also wanted to share with you, I got the greatest gift. I think it was the third time this week I had somebody bring butter tarts to me. I'm here for it. By the way, I also like $20 bills and beer, warm or cold. But anyway, my good friend Rita Westbrook brought a little bag to me with a treat inside and the following note. And I couldn't help but share it with you this morning. Rita's note reads, Mike, I got this butter tart just for you. This beauty is from Ernie's Cookhouse, made on the premises, and I've been told these are the best in the region. Even better, I personally confirmed this tart has never been anywhere near a raisin. Not in the bowl, not on the counter, not even in the same postal code. I hope it lives up to the hype and delivers that perfectly gooey, buttery goodness that you love. Rita, I appreciate it so much. There was not a raisin in the bowl. There was not a raisin on the counter. There was not even a raisin in the same postal code when Ernie's Cookhouse put together that butter tart, which, yes, Rita, was full of ooey, gooey, buttery goodness, and I enjoyed it this morning because nothing says Friday morning like a butter tart that's as big as my face. I don't usually do it. I'm a big believer in finger food being finger food, you know? Like I've seen people eating pizza with a knife and a fork before, and I am very much opposed to that behavior. Pizza is finger food, right? Butter tarts, typically, traditionally, that's something you eat with your hands, and the gooier, the messier, and then you got, well, I won't get into the details of what you're doing to all of those fingers and whatever because it gets gooey. But this thing was so big, I thought there's only one way to attack it. Like it was basically like a small pecan pie. Save the pecans. Anyway, Rita, it was delicious. Thank you for keeping the raisins away from my butter tart. Well, the butter tart that you brought for me, which then made it my butter tart. One more quick thing before we move on to your Farwell Show 5 this morning. And I couldn't help but think of this when I was listening to Justin Kohler's story this morning. I'm sure you were listening to All News Mornings as well with Christine Clark and Mark Douglas. And Justin Kohler was reporting on that transportation cost that our school boards are facing because they cannot align their school calendars for the upcoming year. And Justin had some great quotes from a superintendent within one of our boards during his story this morning. And I couldn't help but think, and I know you and I have already talked about this, it chafes my chaps beyond belief because it's not a we cannot align our calendars. It's simply a we will not align our calendars. And I thought of this morning as I was listening to Justin report the story during All News Mornings. Let's just say, for example, okay, that you and a neighbor, because you know how if somebody on the street's getting their roof done or new concrete in their driveway, oftentimes, you know, the company doing it, maybe you'll see them and say, hey, can you do mine at the same time? Or well, they'll leave a card in the mailbox because we're in the neighborhood anyway, that sort of thing, whatever. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that you and your neighbor are getting the same project done. And because you're getting them done side by each, and the company's going to be basically on the same premises to get two jobs at the same time, they're going to give you $5,000. No, let's go three. Easier numbers, because it's $300,000 in added transportation costs for the school boards because they can't align their calendars. So let's just say you're going to get a $3,000 discount if you get it done on the same day. Your roof gets done or your driveway gets poured. Doesn't matter. You're getting a $3,000 discount as long as you and your neighbor can get the job done on the same day. Are you going to not have the job done on the same day? Like for $3,000 you would do that, right? But for $300,000 the school board's not. We can't. No, you won't. You see what I'm getting at here? We would do it to save $3,000 because we mind our nickels and dimes. The school boards, they're not spending their own money. They're just spending ours. So they just won't try to align the calendar. It's that simple. And it just, it makes me upset. It really does. But hey, some days you just start the day upset, even though you had a butter tart from Ernie's.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9.
All right, let's get to that Farwell Show 5 for this Friday morning, just ahead of your not $1 million question today. Number one on the Farwell Show 5, turns out the proposal to take 30 liters of water per second from Wilmot to help the rest of the region was only the beginning. Regional Council, as you know, deferred a decision on that idea, taking more water from Wilmot to help the rest of the region. They've deferred that for another month. But at that same meeting this week where that deferral happened, we also learned during the meeting that the region has already been doing that, taking 30 liters of water per second from Wilmot to use in the rest of the region. And they've been doing it since 2019. This contravenes one of the region's own policies created back in 1980. They say, well, we were doing some testing, and rather than just empty the water into a ditch, we decided to use it in the other urban areas. You're contravening your own policy on this, and you've been doing it for 6+ years. And now you're like, oh, yeah, well, oops, I guess. Sorry for contravening our own policies. Number 2 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, residents of Cambridge are asking the city to do better when it comes to snow clearing after a winter during which some roads weren't cleared for days or even weeks. Pat Singleton told a special meeting of Cambridge Council last night that poorly cleared snow is a life-altering barrier for some.
Well, this wasn't simply an inconvenience for those unable to get out of their house, their apartment, or their room. For many, it meant more loneliness and more social isolation.
City of Cambridge says it recognizes that the service was not good enough this season, and they will be reviewing procedures. Number 3, police in Brantford say a 39-year-old woman is facing charges in the death of a newborn baby more than 20 years ago. Police say investigators, with help from Toronto police, were recently able to use new DNA technology to identify the person believed to be the baby's mother. They say the woman, who was living in Brantford at the time of the incident, has been charged with indignity to a body and concealing the body of a child. Number 4, game day, baby. The Kitchener Rangers home tonight to the Brampton Steelheads. Kitchener starts the weekend with a 4-point lead for first place in the Western Conference and 3 points out of first place in the Ontario Hockey League. Your Harris Law pregame show starts tonight at 6:30 on 570 News Radio. Josh Piercy and I will give you all of the information you need before puck drop. Then we're right there with you for all of the action. And it's a home game, and you know what that means on your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey, right? JP and I stay late. We take your calls after the game, talk about the game that was, the league that is. It is the kind of coverage you can only get in one place, and that is right here on your Harris Law pregame show, your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey. It all gets underway tonight at 6:30, runs right through 11 o'clock. Some familiar faces on either side of this matchup tonight. Gabe Sherratt now playing for the Rangers, used to be with the Brampton Steelheads, and Justin Bottineau, a former Kitchener Ranger, now with the Brampton Steelheads. So a couple of players face their former teams tonight. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, it is an NHL alumni benefit game as former NHLers face off against law enforcement all-stars in support of Special Olympics. This game takes place at the beautiful Galt Arena Gardens, the Shade Street Arena, on Sunday afternoon starting at 2. Again, it's former NHL legends taking part in a game against law enforcement all-stars. It all happens on Sunday starting at 2 at the Galt Arena Gardens. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Friday morning.
Bravo! I loved that. Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
Who is feeling incredibly intelligent today? How about just a little more intelligent than they felt yesterday? Or maybe you just attack every day with that intelligence of yours. Do you think you can come up with the answer today to our not $1 million question? I cannot give you $1 million for this. I made the mistake when I first started playing this game of calling it the $1 million question. And then one of you called me on it. You said, if I get the answer right, are you going to give me $1 million? No. No, I am not. I cannot. Unlike the school boards who could align their calendars if they wanted to, I cannot give you $1 million. I want to. I can't. I don't have that kind of money. However, we will be very impressed with you if you can come up with the answer to this not $1 million question today. 25% of people say this is their guilty pleasure on a Friday night. What is this? 1 in 4, 25% of people say this is their guilty pleasure on a Friday night. What is this? I'll tell you my guilty pleasure on a Friday night. It ain't the answer, but I'll tell you what mine is. And I mean, you can tell me, take your best guess. Maybe it's your guilty pleasure on a Friday night. 25% of people say this is their guilty pleasure on a Friday night. What is it? You think you know the answer to our not $1 million question this morning? I can't wait to hear from you. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Cupid, draw back your bow and let your arrow go straight to my lover's heart for me, for me. Cupid, please hear my cry and let your arrow fly straight to my lover's heart for me.
Little bit of Sam Cooke and Cupid. All Request Friday, celebrating the fantastic music of Motown. The Motown sounds as we wrap up Black History Month. And Doug wanted to hear Sam Cooke and Cupid on the show today. That's how All Request Friday works. You make the request, and we play a little bit of the song for you at some point during the show. Something else we do on Fridays is what we call the not $1 million question. I ask the question. I cannot give you $1 million if you know the answer, but we'll be super impressed with you because of the intelligence that you bring to the show, which is more than the host brings most days. 25% of people say this is their guilty pleasure on a Friday night. What is this that 1 in 4 of us say is our guilty pleasure on a Friday night? 519-570-2545, star 570, 1-800-570-5715. Jerry is with us this morning. Morning, Jerry.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
But quickly circle back to what your rant was this morning. If you found out your neighbor was going to the Ranger game tonight, wouldn't you commute with them? Save parking and all that hassle?
Also another great idea.
Yeah,
But that's what we normal folk do because we care about the money that we have.
Well, it's our money. That's, I think, the problem is they're spending somebody else's money, which is
They're spending our money. Yeah, exactly. Drives me bananas, Jerry. I'm so upset by this. It's so easy to fix.
And so I'm flabbergasted on the cost. That's what caught me off guard. I'm thinking, wow, that's a pile of money just to throw away.
Couple of days of school transportation. There you go. Nonetheless, What do you think the answer is to our not $1 million question? 25% of people say this is their guilty pleasure on a Friday night. What is it?
I'm going to say watching a movie while eating a tub of ice cream.
Oh, I like where you're coming from, especially with the ice cream. Not the answer we're looking for, Jerry, but thanks for trying.
No problem. Thank you. You have a great day and good luck tonight.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. Wish those Rangers good luck tonight. Looking for a 41st win on the season, taking on the Brampton Steelheads. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 right here on 570 News Radio. The answer to the not $1 million question is not watching a movie and eating a tub of ice cream. But I like that. And Reed is along those same lines. He sends an email to Mike at 570news.com, ordering pizza and watching movies on the couch, obviously with a few beers. Reed, I also like where you're coming from, but not the answer we're looking for. Mike's guess via email to Mike at 570news.com. Wasting money on a nice restaurant. Let me tell you, Mike, there's no such thing as a waste of money on a nice restaurant. You get into a nice place, you enjoy some quality service. You don't have to cook. You don't have to clean up. You spend some quality time with somebody you like, maybe even love. I don't call that a waste at all. But also, not the answer we're looking for on the not $1 million question this morning. 25% of us say this is our guilty pleasure on a Friday night. This is Friday. What's your guilty pleasure on a Friday night? Maybe what you do is the answer to our not $1 million question. Andre is with us this morning. Good morning, Andre.
Game day, baby.
Game day, baby.
Can't wait to hear Farzy later.
Farzy will be here later. Farwell is here right now. It's like I'm like the Oreo cookie, the mini wheats of local radio. I've got my unsugared side during the day because I'm cranky and salty, and then you get my sugary side during the game tonight. I'm the mini wheats of local radio, my friend. Farwell by day, Farzy by night.
Well, this is 369 the Force.
Oh, right. Force number. That a boy, Andre. I can't believe you remembered your number.
I can't. I have to. It's to the wall, to the window. Remember when COVID? That's all you could do is to the window, to the wall.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. But anyway, Mike, I was going to say the same thing as a lot of people about the food. Friday night is my loose night where I go on food. But so yeah, that was my answer, and it's not working. So the other, it's probably 25%. It's probably people like you who take jujube. What about that?
About me who takes what?
Jujubes.
I don't take any jujubes.
CBD?
No, Andre. Well, I haven't yet. I might tomorrow. We shall see as I try to relieve some. I'm not going to call it chronic yet, but it's been long enough. It's been a month's worth of discomfort, to say the very least. I might do that tomorrow night, but no, that's not the answer. And Andre, I'm not sure that he only does this on Fridays, because Andre has been known to call our Kitchener Rangers Talk post-game shows even on Tuesdays or Sundays. And Andre seems to be indulging in his guilty pleasure even then, not just on Friday. But no, it's not go to a fancy restaurant. It's not watch a movie and order pizza, or watch a movie and eat an entire tub of ice cream. For me, a Friday night guilty pleasure, and I've been engaging in it for quite some time now. It's tradition. So is it still a guilty pleasure when it's become tradition? I don't know. But I get home from that Kitchener Rangers game a little after 11:30, and I need some me time. Friday nights on the couch with Rosie. House is quiet. Everybody else has gone to bed. And I'll have a little snacky snack and crack a cold one. Sometimes two. Never more. I'll find a bad movie on TV. And by bad, I mean a movie I liked in the 1980s. And I'll just chill for a little bit after Rangers games on Friday nights. That's my guilty pleasure, but it's also not the answer. Cracking a beer or two after work. 25% of us say this is our Friday night guilty pleasure. We'll take more guesses after 9:45 this morning, and I'll give you the answer before 10, I promise. But right after this update from the 570 News Center, let's talk to an Ontario couple who left for Puerto Vallarta, and then the violence erupted. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. And please, Mr. Postman, by request on this All Request Friday, Motown Music Edition. Dave in Cambridge wanted to hear the Marvelettes. And so Dave asks, we play the song. That's how it works on All Request Friday. As you know, things are getting better in Mexico, particularly the Puerto Vallarta area. But that's not the way this week started. And just imagine if you had planned your winter vacation and then left for your winter vacation just before all that violence erupted. That's what Lynn and her husband John Craig did. They left last Saturday in Puerto Vallarta as we speak to Lynn this morning, who takes time for our show. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. And thank you very much for taking time out of vacation time to talk to us here on the show today.
Not a problem. Not a problem. And you're right. That's exactly how things started for us. We landed Saturday night with our friends, and we're actually staying this week. This past week, we were able to stay about 10 minutes from, like, the romantic zone, so from the downtown area. And so we're sitting in mostly a residential area. There's lots of, we're in a condo, private condo, overlooking, as I speak right now, from the upper deck, this beautiful Pacific Ocean, and then you can kind of see, Puerto Vallarta. So we're sitting here Sunday morning after landing late Saturday, and we're having our coffee out on the deck, and we see plumes of smoke coming from the downtown area. We're like, oh, there's a fire happening over there. And that's about all we saw. That's about all we thought for the time. And then we learned, of course, from friends, there's a group of us down here. Some of us are staying downtown. Like I said, we're out this week about 10 minutes away. So we heard sirens, and we thought, oh, there's a fire. There's a fire, obviously, happening. And then we found out exactly what was going on. And it wasn't good. It is not a great way to start your vacation at all.
Of course it wouldn't be. And of course you would also think that, plumes of smoke, a fire, I'm sure cartel violence is the last thing that enters a vacationer's mind.
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't even think about that at all, obviously. I don't think anybody, well, maybe some people do, but most people don't think about that, I don't think, when they're planning their vacation. But we were on hold and secure all day Sunday. So that meant nobody was going anywhere. And as you know, airplanes stopped, and we would see planes landing. Typically, we saw nothing. There were no taxis running, no Ubers, no anything. Everybody stayed where they were. And it was all seemed to be over, quite quickly, like on Sunday. Monday, we were still supposed to be in hold and secure. And that got a little dicey, I think, for people. For us, it did. We hadn't had the chance to do any grocery shopping or anything like that. We were fortunate. There was a small boutique hotel across the street that welcomed us in and fed us, and they were running out of supplies on Sunday night. So everybody, it was just really eerily quiet. All we wanted to do was hit the town, hit the beat. You know what I mean? Just get moving. And we were stuck in this beautiful villa. Still, it's not. I thought, oh my gosh, we're never going to be able to go anywhere this week. We're going to be held up like we were during COVID, right? So, and that's kind of the feeling that we got.
How were you able, Lynn, to secure the supplies, the necessary things that you needed to ensure that you were covered for whatever length of time you needed?
Well, actually, things started getting back to normal Monday. We would see action, and our friends that live there said, oh, yeah, there are some restaurants open. Some, some small stores were opening up. And so Monday night, we actually ventured out Monday night and went for a bite and went out, and met up with our friends. And things were starting to get back to normal. Tuesday, we got all kinds of supplies. But the people across the street at that restaurant were just like, sure, you guys can come over. You were here yesterday. But their meals, basically, that first day on Sunday were just for their guests. But they welcomed us because we were just across the street. So we hit the stores as soon as things opened up on Monday. Yeah, Monday it was. I'm trying to recall. And then by Tuesday, everything was kind of back to normal.
So
even Monday night, people were out and about. There was a higher presence of police, driving up and down the streets. And then on Tuesday, I'm trying to recall, we saw a ship come in, and the military came in on Tuesday. And there was a high presence of military. There were, and we haven't seen it in 2 days, but there were helicopters flying. They'd come very, very low, very close, and you could see that they were just military helicopters, trailing the skies and just kind of keeping a lookout. When we were out, go ahead. Sorry.
Had you been to Mexico prior to this year, or is this a first visit?
That's first visit.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
So for John and I, it's our first visit. But for our friends, they had been here many times, and they said, this is just not typical. But obviously, it wasn't typical for them. They had never experienced anything like that either. It was interesting though, because what we heard was. And when we went into town, you could see the stores that were hit, the buses. There were many buses that were hit, some gas stations. And I don't know if you have heard this, but what we had heard was that the cartel, the men that were, and I say men, but the people that were doing the kind of retribution, they would order people off buses. They would tell people, get out of this gas station. So there were no injuries. So when they were starting the fires, we were not hearing reports of any injuries at all, which is incredible to me. That, it's all very sad. It's very, very sad and scary, but that they were just saying, get off the buses, and then they would torch the bus. The cleanup has been very quick. They're removing the buses very quickly. They're repairing. They're boarding up the stores that had been hit. And it was a series of, it seemed to be anyway, a series of their small stores. I think they're called OXXOs. And we're really not sure why they were mostly the only ones that were hit. There were a couple of others, but it was mostly those types of convenience stores, if you will, were more we're targeted. Very odd. We're not really sure why.
How are you all doing today as this week has gone on? You mentioned even by Monday night, some things were reopening. Tuesday was almost normal-ish. How are you all feeling today?
I think we're feeling pretty good. The kids here went back to school, I believe, Wednesday for sure. They might have even gone back Tuesday. Wednesday, we were out at we had a fun afternoon at a barbecue, a band. People are back enjoying themselves. We walked around a well-known Malecon, which is a group of stores, restaurants, bars, whatever, along the beach area. That was packed. Things are pretty well all open, up and running now. And I think people are, the people that we speak to when we're out, are hoping, and it looks as though things will just, go back to normal, which they have so far. So,
how does
sorry?
How does this change the way you view Mexico now? First time visit. I mean, are you going to be inclined to return?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, because you don't, whenever we travel anywhere, right? We traveled Europe in the summer and we have plans to do it the same thing. It's not what you think about, really. I mean, you think about your personal safety when you're out and about, just being aware of surroundings. But I've never before really thought about being in a country where, because I've never visited a country, I guess, where there was ongoing violence. You had to worry about that type of encounter, right? Like I said, you might worry more about, I wonder if I'm going to get pickpocketed or something like that. So you take those types of precautions. I don't know if it would dissuade me, Mike. It might be a little early. This is still a little raw.
I bet. I'll bet.
But like I said, we were very fortunate that we at least were not in the middle of it. Our friends were. Our friends, their condos where they're staying, they were not allowed to go out of their building. They were told to stay in the building. A lot of the condos here have rooftop pools, so they were not allowed to use the rooftop pools at that point either, they said. So they saw more of it than we did, but they are making plans to come back again. These are people that have been coming for 25 years.
Sure.
And have never seen anything like this before, so Yeah, it like you said, different flavor to the start of the vacation for sure.
Well, I hope the remainder of the vacation, you've still got a week left, right?
We do, and we're moving actually tomorrow. We're moving downtown. So it'll be it's a little easier to get around,
right.
Obviously downtown where everything is. We have to cab it everywhere we go up when we're up here. But I don't think we felt the full extent of it until we went downtown, and then you see like some of the, like I said, the burned out buses. We didn't see anything up here. Like you wouldn't have known anything except nobody. There were no cabs up here. There was nobody walking around. Nobody doing anything. So,
you know what? You're going to have a memory that will absolutely last a lifetime, Lynn.
Absolutely. It's a story, right?
It is a story. It is a story. Well, I wish you well on the remainder of the vacation, and thank you so much for making time early in the morning for us today to share the story with us. I appreciate it.
Well, and I appreciate you reaching out. Thank you again, and have a good one.
You too.
Enjoy your Friday.
Thank you. You as well. Bye, Lynn.
Bye-bye.
Lynn Craig, Ontario resident. I had to hold back a little bit there because Lynn is one of us, spent a long time working at what was known, it's a famous, the Big 8 radio station in Windsor, CKLW. And my buddy, Steve Bell, I could go on and on. Steve Bell still calls games for the Spitfires, but nonetheless, Lynn, a retired radio professional, and I could geek out on radio for the entire show, but I wanted to focus on, of course, the experience that Lynn and her husband John had upon arrival. Just imagine, you leave last Saturday out of Detroit and fly to Puerto Vallarta, and you get there late Saturday night, and 12 to 24 hours later, there are those plumes of smoke from the downtown area. Those aren't fires. Well, they're not fires in buildings that just sort of happened by happenstance. They could be buses being burned or gas stations being set ablaze, etc., as that cartel violence broke out to start their first ever Mexican vacation. Good to get Lynn Craig on the show this morning, who has a connection to some family here in the region of Waterloo. That's how we were able to make the connection, and glad that we could get a firsthand account of what it was like and what it is like today near Puerto Vallarta in Mexico. Okay, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we will take more of your calls / guesses on our not $1 million question this morning. 25% of us say this is our Friday night guilty pleasure. Do you think you know what it is? Selena sends an email to Mike at 570news.com. Is the Friday guilty pleasure getting takeout? No, Selena, not the answer we're looking for. Suzanne says eating a whole bag of chips with lots of beer. They go well together, Suzanne. And is it just me, or is a whole bag of chips not what it used to be? Or is that just me saying that to make myself feel better about eating a whole bag of chips? I'm not sure, but also not the answer we're looking for. And Ron, no, it is not a naughty movie. Naughty movies are for any night. It's not just Fridays. Your Friday night guilty pleasure. 25% of us say this is our Friday night guilty pleasure. What is this? I'll give you the answer before 10, but I'm here to take more guesses on the not $1 million question this Friday morning. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. No, Andre, this is Andre's request, and it's an all request Friday, but we're asking for Motown tunes. I think Andre's dipping a little bit into disco here, isn't he? I think. I mean, look, I'm no expert, but I think I know my Motown from my disco. Apparently, the judges let it slide for you there, Andre. All Request Friday, Motown or disco edition as we wrap up Black History Month. And enjoy some Motown sounds on the show today. Something else we do on the show every Friday is what we call the not $1 million question. 25% of people say this is their guilty pleasure on a Friday night. What is this? An email from Lynn to Mike at 570news.com. Is the Friday guilty pleasure putting on your PJs as soon as you get home from work? No, not the answer we're looking for, Lynn, but a very good guess. You put us on the right track, I think. Lynn is Farwell's Force member number 44. Let's go back to the phones. Rob is with us. Rob, what's your guess to the not $1 million question today?
Hey, Mike, I think the guilty pleasure is staying up late, or by late, I mean past 8 p.m.
So, isn't it funny when you become an adult, Rob, what happens? Like when I was a kid, I wanted to avoid at all costs going to bed, right? But now,
absolutely.
Yeah, weekdays, you're like, I got to get some sleep. I got to work. I got to get back to the grind tomorrow.
That's just it. See, I'm 33 years old, and my house is getting renovated right now, so I'm staying with my parents. And they're in their late 60s, early 70s. And I'm going to bed at 8:30 and asleep by 9:30, 10 o'clock at the latest,
Yep.
They are both up till damn near midnight.
I'll bet they are, because what have they got to
Every
worry
night.
about?
What a life.
What a life indeed. Rob, it's a great guess. Not the answer we're looking for, but a great guess.
Oh, come on.
I wish I could help you. I don't make the answers. I just find the questions.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Rob. Good to hear from you. It reminds me of my older brother. He's 3 years my senior. And again, when I was a kid, I would do whatever I could to stay up later. And he got into high school and he tried out for football and he got busier, and all of a sudden, and we had set bedtimes until we were like 16. I think it was 16. Anyway, whatever it was. And he would start going to bed earlier than me. And I'm like, but you're older. You're allowed to stay up as late as you want now. But the lifestyle he was leading made him more tired, I suppose. And so he'd be going to bed. I'm like, what are you doing going to bed early? And Rob's like, now, my guilty pleasure, staying up late on a Friday night. And by late, Rob means past 8 o'clock. And I admitted to you my guilty pleasure being that beer, sometimes two, which I only drink after the Rangers game, after Rangers talk, when I get home around 11:30, 11:45 on Friday nights. So it's like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning sometimes before my head hits the pillow. That is very, very late. But I actually held this off because I wanted to take more guesses. Natasha sent an email at 9:26, so 30 minutes ago exactly, and she nailed the answer. The answer to our not $1 million question. 25% of us say this is our guilty pleasure on a Friday night. Natasha says, going to bed early? Yes, that is the answer. So the opposite of Rob. And I told you Lynn put us on the right track, putting on your PJs as soon as you're home. Going to bed early is what 25% of us believe to be our guilty pleasure on a Friday night. Natasha, you are the smartest person we know, and we're going to think that all weekend long. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, bringing you an expanding library of education with even more ways to sharpen your trading skills. Access new online courses, insightful webcasts, articles, engaging videos, and more, all curated just for traders. Plus, guided learning paths with content designed to fit your unique interests. No sifting to find exactly what you need, so you can spend your time learning to trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah.
is a reason that Preston Paul and I get along. I mean, we have very similar tastes in music. Preston Paul wanted to hear Marvin Gaye's What's Going On this All Request Friday Motown edition as we celebrate the Motown sounds and wrap up Black History Month. All Request Friday. Love that one from Marvin Gaye. I love the origin story of the story that we are about to share. I'm joined in studio by Marika Mior, who lives not too far from us here in Waterloo, not too far from the boardwalk. And Marika was listening to the show, and she heard us about a week ago talk to the man in Centre Wellington that collects pop can tabs to make sure they get to the legions and wheelchairs can be built. And he's been collecting them for years, and hundreds of thousands of tabs and pounds of pop can tabs. And we use that as a live version of our daily feature, Not Everyone is a Jackwagon, because we told you his story. Well, Marika also falls into that category of not being a jackwagon, and we'll find out why in just a moment. Good morning. Sometimes. We all have our moments, Marika. I have mine as well. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for your interest in this. I was gobsmacked. Thank you.
Well, I think it's so great because these little things are happening around our community all the time, and if I didn't have help from people like you, I wouldn't be able to find out about them. So you support Canadian Food for Children.
Correct.
Which is a charity that my folks actually support as well, and I've heard from many others who do. But your effort, my folks go out and collect, by the way, beer cans and wine bottles from recycling bins. You do something different. What do you do?
Very different. So I guess we have to start from the start. It was all started by an announcement in our church bulletin, spring of 2019 or so. Canadian Food for Children was looking for a new quote-unquote doll lady to look after their donated dolls. They get lots of donations, as you know, of all kinds of things, but dolls in particular, this particular lady would look after. She retired, and they needed somebody else to look after them. What she did was kind of spruce them up, make them look presentable, fix their doll clothes or what have you, and then deliver them back to the depot, and off they would go to any one of many, many countries, as you probably know. So I answered that. I met with them, and I came home with a great big bag of, must have been about 30 dolls or so, or maybe more, plus a bunch of doll clothes. You should have seen my dining room floor. They were all lined up like little soldiers or something on the floor. And so I took care of it. And then I think I went to bed that night thinking, well, that's lovely. That's dolls. What about the boys? What about the boys? I have 3 boys myself that I love and cherish forever and a day. And so I called them back the next day and I said, well, what about, would you be okay with me collecting stuffed animals as well? Let's include the boys. They said, go for it. And then I also thought to myself, well, you know, I remember when I was just a little kid and I had doll beds for all my dolls. And, well, I can't give them that. I can't give the kids that. That's very, very, that's just not possible. And I thought, well, what's the next best thing? What's the next best thing? And I came up with a carry bag for them. So I asked them again, would that be okay? Is it okay with you folks if I make a fabric carry bag for these kids to tote along their new little friend in? And they said, go for it. So that's what I do. And so it's carried on from there.
So this is now the dolls. Do they come from Canadian Food for Children?
Yeah.
Okay.
They do, but I also asked for donations from Facebook.
Gotcha, because I knew that's how you collected a lot of the stuffies too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you not only solicit these donations, then you bring them in, you make sure they are cleaned, the clothes are repaired, yes. Right? Sewn up.
Yes.
And then you also make these carry bags yourself.
The bags, yeah.
And how do you source the material for the carry bags?
Also from Facebook. Or my church, in our church bulletins from time to time, I'll get the secretary to put in a little announcement about what I do and what the supplies that I need. So from church and from Facebook, really.
So this is a really I think it's an excellent example of what we like to call our circular economy. Nothing is going to waste here. You're finding scraps of fabric, almost like quilting, and they all become these carry bags. And
they do, yeah. And even the scraps, like if I don't want to belabor the point, but even little leftovers, I just seam them together and they become another bag. And this is leftover, this little piece here you can see. Your listeners can't see this, but you can.
That's okay. You're on Rogers TV too. They can see it.
How great! So and they have little pockets. The pockets are from little scraps and whatever. So I just throw them together, and that's what they do. That's what I do.
Where did you acquire this talent for sewing?
There's no oh my goodness! It's just linear sewing. It's like I couldn't sew.
Says you.
I couldn't sew clothes to save my life. This is easy peasy. This is just linear sewing. It's so easy. So easy. Haha.
What is it that inspired you to do this?
I guess I wouldn't have been inspired had it not been for the church bulletin announcement in that particular year. I kind of just thought, well, that's something I can do, so give them a shout and see what happens.
So for how long now, Marika, have you been doing this?
Since 2019, but of course there was the pandemic that interrupted.
Right.
For a little space of time in there, but I still tried to keep it up. As it slowed down, but then it picked up again, of course, after the pandemic was kind of slowing.
Any idea over all of these years how many dolls, stuffies, carry bags have been created or have come through your home?
Yes, because I keep track.
I love that. I love that.
I can't help but take pictures of them every little batch that I make.
Sure.
I take pictures of like 5 or 10 at a time or what have you. And it may sound like a lot, but over 7 years, it's really not that much. But it came to so far 760.
That's a fair bit, though. That's a fair bit.
Like over 7 years, really.
100 a year, so you're doing one every 3 to 4 days
Big
at
deal.
least. Okay.
I can do like 5 a day if I really wanted to, but still. But sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to, before I forget, to thank our priest, Father Steve Murrin, because he's been very supportive in this effort that I do. He's created a drive at our church to collect these, and I was so surprised, so pleasantly surprised. So thank you, Father Steve. And I also want to give a little shout out, if I may, to our prayer shawl group at the church, because the organizer, Marg Parada, came up with the idea that with the leftover bits of prayer shawls that we knit and crochet in our church, we now make little blankets for these dolls even. So it just adds another little layer, and it's very cute. And it's thank you, Marg, and thank you, Father Steve.
I think that's fantastic. Now, you mentioned maybe the church gets used as a drop-off point or a collection depot. Like when you're sourcing all of this over Facebook or whatnot, are you driving all over the place to collect all of these dolls and stuff? No.
Actually, I tell people in the ad, I write it in the ad, I cannot drive all over the city to collect them.
Fair.
But drop them off either at the depot on Guelph Street or at my residence, which is fine. But in the church, we just have, once in a while, we'll have a drive, and there are boxes at the back of the church where they can drop off their donations.
Right.
And then I take them home, of course.
Of course. And then how do you get them, over these years, all 700? Do you take them to the depot on Guelph Street?
Yeah, then I just, when I have like maybe 50 or so, then I'll drop them off at the depot. If they've got some for me to take home, great. Then we just do a switcheroo, and that's it.
Do you get any feedback from the other end?
I wish. Not very much. I asked last time I was there, and the organizer, Linda Liu, said something about they don't necessarily have the capability to get feedback or take pictures or anything of that nature. Once in a while they may, but that may be for all the other things that they donate, that they deliver. But I don't think they have necessarily the capability when these arrive at the destination to get any feedback or pictures or anything like that. I would love to see the smile on somebody's little face. And I do it actually, I will say this as well, just really quickly. I do this because I believe these kids don't just need, or don't solely need, their physical needs met. I can't fix their hunger. I can't fix their homelessness. But what I can do is perhaps provide an emotional need for them. And that needs to be met just as well, in my opinion. And hopefully this gives them, A, a smile, and or B, something to give them comfort, something to cry to in their grief, in their loneliness, in their sorrow.
I love that sentiment because it just demonstrates that each of us has something we can do. You can't,
for sure,
right? You can't fix the hunger, you can't fix the homelessness, but you can provide
something
through your
else.
abilities a piece of this emotional connection.
And I hope that's what it does. So on to your point, I wish I could see the reaction.
Yeah.
But I can't.
You mentioned a name I have to come back to, the organizer at the depot of Canadian Food for Children, Linda Liu.
Yeah.
I've known only one person by that name in my entire life, but I never knew, well, I knew her first name, but I never called her by that because she was one of my high school teachers.
Oh.
Pennington? Grade 10 French.
Hi, Linda Liu, if you're listening.
I'm sorry I skipped out that day. I deserved the detention you gave me. I don't know what possessed me
and
on
I
that
hope
day.
It's okay to have mentioned her. I don't know. I didn't ask her.
Well, here's the thing about volunteers. In my experience, Marika, they do such great work, and they don't want to be recognized for that, but they should be.
They should
shouted out, right? Father Steve,
right?
for
Sure.
Marg,
And
absolutely,
the rest of the
they
prayer
deserve
shawl
to
group.
be. Yeah,
the other ladies who are helping me make these blankets. But yes, and this is a drop in the bucket. All the other people at Canadian Food for Children, my goodness, they load the trucks, they sort, they box things up, and there are a million things I'm sure they do. This is a drop in the bucket.
It's a little volunteer army, though, and every little cog in the wheel plays a different part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us collect pop can tabs.
Yes.
Others solicit donations for dolls, stuffies, and they make carry bags to send to Canadian Food for Children.
As you said, we can all do something.
We can all do something. Marika, I love what you're doing, and I'm so glad you shared it with us today. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. I'm so grateful.
I'm so happy that you could. Not everyone is a jackwagon, you see, and Marika Mior is definitely an example of that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Mike.
This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. Sugar and spice. I feel nice. Like sugar and spice. So nice. So nice. I got you.
Awesome. James Brown, I feel good. That is by request from Mark on this All Request Friday Motown edition. As we wrap up Black History Month. So pleased to be able to introduce you to a brand new organization in our community. It is called Ontario Support Dog Services. Its executive director is Andy Golden, who joins the show this morning. Andy, good morning.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, sir. Tell me more about Ontario Support Dog Services. What do you do?
Well, Mike, we are a nonprofit agency staffed and operated entirely by volunteers. And we have a team of 9 qualified and experienced support dogs and handlers that respond to calls of support from local law enforcement, victim witness, and child counseling agencies.
How did you get started? What was the motivation behind this, Andy?
It was a bit of a journey in terms of where we started from. As you know, dogs and handlers can do great work in all kinds of settings. Could be hospitals or long-term care facilities, schools, etc. However, we learned through experience that there's a really continuing need for a different level of support within our community and likely every community, unfortunately. And that's where we have focused our efforts to help others by applying our dog and handler's unique skill set to properly navigate these complex settings while still providing support that our amazing dogs can provide.
How do you connect a support dog to the person in need of him or her?
We are available through an email request, and we have agreements with 3 local agencies where we've set up a protocol that the agency reaches out to us, and they then match the request to a suitable support dog and handler team, and then they are present whenever that service user interacts with the agency.
Now, I know, Andy, that you're based here in the region of Waterloo, but you're not confined, I guess, to our borders here. You've gone well beyond in the past.
Yes, we have. We are looking to be a service that can be accessed throughout the province. We have no boundaries, so to speak. We have, obviously, the need for support in terms of handler mileage expenses, et cetera. But we basically will go where the need is, and there is a great need, Mike, throughout our province.
I'm not surprised at all. And as somebody who is, I guess a little bit biased as a dog person, but I can certainly relate to and understand the therapeutic benefits of even just having that dog nearby in a time of need. They are wonderful animals as far as I'm concerned. And I'm so grateful that something like Ontario Support Dog Services now exists, Andy. But how are you funded?
We are funded entirely by private donations. We do not charge for our services to our partner agencies, and we're staffed and operated by volunteers. So every gift that we receive helps to cover the practical costs that allow our team to respond when called. And obviously these costs include things like handler travel expenses and insurance and professional uniform standards and the occasional dog treat too, Mike.
I'm glad to hear that, Andy. They deserve them. They absolutely deserve them. And obviously operating on very low overhead, if everything is supported through those private donations. Where can we learn more and maybe even support the work that you're doing at Ontario Support Dog Services, Andy?
Thanks, Mike. That's a really kind offer. I'd ask to have your listeners and yourself as well visit our website. It's one word, OntarioSupportDogServices.ca. And on the website, you'll see some pretty cute dogs, in my opinion, and a lot more information about us and instructions on how, if you choose to donate to our team, how you can do that. It's right on the website at OntarioSupportDogServices.ca.
I'm glad you're off the ground and doing what you're doing, Andy. Thank you very much for making time for the show today, and keep up the great work.
I really appreciate you giving me the time, Mike. And as a dog person, fellow dog person, I think we can really connect on that. So thanks very much.
An absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Andy Golden is the executive director at Ontario Support Dog Services, a new nonprofit just getting off the ground, and will be serving Southern Ontario, based here in the region, but has gone as far as Owen Sound, Walkerton, Milton, and other places. You can learn more, maybe pledge some support at OntarioSupportDogServices.ca. We're coming up on 10:30, and your update in the 570 News Center. And you know what happens after that 10:30 update on Friday mornings, right? Because Fridays are game days, baby. We'll get UC Ahokas, the head coach of the Kitchener Rangers, here for a little chat. The Coach's Show is coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. That is the sound you hear every Friday morning after the 10:30 news, because it reminds you that the Coaches Show is upon us, getting you ready for the game tonight at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. In fact, we have two games at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium this weekend. Tonight, the Brampton Steelheads come to town. On Sunday, it is the London Knights. And the Coaches Show, of course, means our conversation with Rangers head coach Jussi Ahokas. Good morning, Jussi.
Oh, good morning.
A win in Guelph on Wednesday, and that just so happens to be the 40th win of the season for your hockey club. Only the second time in team history that there have been back-to-back-to-back 40-win seasons. You've been the head coach for all of those. How does something like this happen?
I think we have a good staff. We work great together. Of course, you need good players, but we've been able to build a good culture, how we work here and what do we want. And we've been progressing every year. So I think that makes it that we could have done that. But it also that the players have committed to how we want to play and what we want to do. So I think a lot of good things been happening the last 3 years.
I think it was pretty evident, Jussi, from the time that you got hired that you were kind of putting your stamp on this organization. What is the culture now? What do you expect of a Kitchener Ranger hockey player?
Well, first of all, we work hard. We compete, and then we want to play a structured game, team first. Winning hockey, I would say. That's a long list to talk about. All in all, that we play for each other and we work hard, and that would be the biggest thing, I would say.
Winning hockey is something that you did on Wednesday night on the road in Guelph. Maybe not the best game that your team played all season, but you still get 2 points out of it. What does that tell you about how good this hockey team perhaps is?
Well, but you don't want to. I thought offensively we created a lot. What I didn't like our second period and how we defended, so it's just getting back. But it tells that, of course, that we're one of the top teams in the league, and it always tells like when you can win with not a good game, that it tells we have a good thing going on. But still, if we defend like that, we won't win a lot of hockey games. So that's where we have to get better.
Does a game like that allow you the opportunity to remind guys, hey, we have to have our best effort every night?
Well, yeah, for sure. And also being best effort, but being smart also. Like we were over attacking our stupid changes, and where we gave up too many odd man rushes, and just simple things like that. But I think it's a good reminder, and we again to learn and just go day by day. Every game's important. It doesn't matter who do we play against. Same 2 points you get from every game.
You lost your top-line center 8 seconds into that game. Sam O'Reilly gets into a fight, comes with a game misconduct. What does that do to you as a coaching staff when you have to figure out new line combinations?
Of course, and of course Romano also. So we're a little bit thin in centers, so some wingers had to play center, and of course, when we're playing with 11, you have to mix up the lines. So, but again, then we got to see some guys get to play a little bit bigger role, and you can see how did they do. So, but of course, it's not the ideal. You wanna have your four lines and kind of keep going, but that happens in the hockey game, and you just have to adjust.
Christian Humphreys and Dylan Edwards certainly adjusted very well. 7 points between them. How impressed were you with what you saw from those two players on Wednesday?
I thought both of them played well. I think especially Humphreys, he had a great game. I think Edwards came up big in the second half of the game, and that's what you need. Your key two guys, the little bit older guys. That's what, if you want to win games, they have to step up, and that's great they did.
How do you deal without O'Reilly again tonight because of the suspension?
Oh, it's good we get Romano back, so it's good, and it gives us chance for some guys again, chance to play a little bit more different situations, and we see how they do. So it's not, but it's good. Rome's is back for tonight, so that's the important part. And yeah, it's going to be, well, Riley's back Sunday, so it's just one game.
You know, I promise you, see, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. So you can just tell me to go pound salt if you want. But, like, O'Reilly already missed the whole game on Wednesday night because the fight was 8 seconds in. Isn't this a little bit harsh for getting into a fight? Is it a little too much of a penalty? Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's too harsh, but I guess that's league rule, but for me, that's too harsh.
Yeah, we're getting soft, you see. We're getting soft. Don't tell anybody I said that, okay?
I won't. And I won't comment.
I know. That's smart, man. So I'm not going to get you in trouble. I will say it, though. I'll say it was soft.
Yeah.
Soft. Okay.
Yeah.
Brampton Steelheads are here tonight. What do you have to do against a hardworking Brampton club?
Well, first of all, we have to defend well. We have to get back to defending well 5-on-5, and I think if we have our structure in place and we defend hard, and then again, the special teams are good, then we have a good chance.
Look forward to seeing you at the rink tonight, UC. Thank you very much for this.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
UC Ahokas is the head coach of the Kitchener Rangers, joins us every Friday morning after the 10:30 news for the Coach's Show. I was not trying to get the coach in any trouble. And I might be just soft. Okay, well, but here's the thing. Can I tell you here's the thing, okay? I understand where we are at and how much more we know about injuries, particular head injuries, and the more we know, the better we can do. But I think in the Ontario Hockey League, our pendulum has swung a wee bit too much in the other direction. These are strong young men who engage in a physical game, fighting of which has always been a part of it. So first of all, the fact that you're only allowed 3 fights in a season before you start getting suspended, I think is a little bit soft. And the fact that because you got into a fight so close to a face-off, the league determines then that is a staged fight, and they don't want staged fights. But see, you have to think of what a staged fight used to be, right? Where a couple of guys would give each other the nod or the tap, and then they'd skate around like circus performers right through the neutral zone, and it was a big song and dance. And that's not what happened on Wednesday night in Guelph. A couple of guys who have fought before decided to fight again. That's it. That's all. There was no more. And it was a good little tussle. And it happened 8 seconds into the game. So didn't they already sit their whole game? Yes, they sat their whole game. Now they get another game suspension. And I'm saying this, I feel bad for Quinn Beauchesne of the Guelph Storm too. Okay? Soft. Oh, butter. Okay, I'll just leave that there. No Sam O'Reilly tonight, but hey, how about that? Luca Romano returns to the Kitchener Rangers lineup tonight as the Rangers take on the Brampton Steelheads. As you know, right here on your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey, you get all the stuff. It starts with your Harris Law pregame show at 6:30. You're not getting a 30-minute pregame show anywhere else in this league. And we're going to give you all the information before the game tonight. Then we'll bring you all of the action. Rangers, Steelheads, former Brampton Steelhead Gabe Sherratt, now with the Kitchener Rangers. Former Kitchener Ranger Justin Bottineau, now with the Brampton Steelheads. So Josh Piercy and I will have all the action from the game. And then it's a home game. That means Piercy and I stay late. We'll take your phone calls and talk about Rangers hockey and the OHL during Rangers Talk right through until 11 o'clock tonight. So there you go. That's where you get all of the coverage. The Kitchener Rangers enter play tonight with a 4-point lead on the Flint Firebirds for first place in the Western Conference. Just to put this in perspective for you, at the trade deadline on January the 9th, so give or take, about 6 weeks ago, at the trade deadline, the Kitchener Rangers were 8 points out of first place. Now they're 4 points ahead. That's a 12-point swing. One of the reasons for that, of course, is that in calendar 2026, the Kitchener Rangers have lost one game in regulation, just one. They are on one whale of a run here in the OHL. One regulation loss in 2026. 8 points out of first at the trade deadline, now 4 points clear of first. The Kitchener Rangers are setting the pace 86 points on the season so far, 10 games to go. And that 40th win on Wednesday night in Guelph makes it back-to-back 40-win seasons for the Kitchener Rangers. Only the second time in franchise history that's happened. The other time it happened, some guy by the name of Pete DeBoer was the coach. You remember him? Oh, yeah, he's on the level of legacy now at the Memorial Auditorium. 06, 07, 08, the Memorial Cup year, 40-plus, 40-plus, 40-plus wins for the Kitchener Rangers. Not only are the Rangers 4 points up on Flint for first in the West, but the Rangers are only 3 points behind Brantford for first place overall in the league. And, those Brampton Steelheads, on Wednesday night, we were in Guelph. Brampton was playing Brantford, and Brampton had a 3-0 lead in the game, but couldn't hang on. Imagine Kitchener could have been within 1 point of Brantford, but Brantford's Brantford, very good team, came back and won that game. But Rangers, 3 points out of first overall and 4 points ahead of Flint for first place in the Western Conference. 4 games in the Ontario Hockey League last night. The Niagara Ice Dogs, a 5-4 shootout win over the Erie Otters. The North Bay Battalion, a 4-3 win over the Kingston Frontenacs last night up in North Bay. I think Ottawa's angry. They lost 3 games in a row, and they've been taking it out on opponents since, including Saginaw last night. Ottawa in Saginaw winning 8-2. 8-2. And then in Windsor, the Spitfires needed a shootout to beat the Peterborough Petes 4-3, but Windsor needed those points to kind of keep it close in the West. They've got 81 points, Windsor does. Flint 82 and Kitchener 86. There are 7 games in the Ontario Hockey League tonight. So the games besides your Kitchener Rangers game, the Guelph Storm, home to the Niagara Ice Dogs, the Sioux hosting Kingston. Windsor is in London tonight. Flint will not play. They'll play again tomorrow. And that brings me around to the league leaders in points. We talked about Christian Humphreys and Dylan Edwards the night they had Wednesday in Guelph. Humphreys had 4 points, and he now sits in 4th place in the OHL scoring race. He's only 4 points behind Nikita Klepov of the Saginaw Spirit, and Humphreys is 1 point behind Kieran Walton with Peterborough. That means Walton didn't get any points last night. And Nathan Aspinall of the Flint Firebirds. Aspinall's not playing tonight. Christian Humphreys has a chance here. With 2 points, he'd move ahead of both of those players into second place in scoring. And also, Humphreys leads the league in assists with 54. Jack Pridham scored a goal Wednesday night in Guelph. He is tied for second in goals scored this season with 37. He is tied with Kieran Walton. He's 4 back of Merrick Van Acker for the OHL goal scoring lead. These Rangers are humming. 3 players, Humphreys, Pridham, and Dylan Edwards, are in top 10 of league scoring in the OHL. Kitchener Rangers, Brampton Steelheads, Harris Law pregame show with Josh Piercy and I starts at 6:30 tonight right here on your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey. Going to take a quick break. The KW Titans, a first-place showdown with Sudbury this weekend. We'll talk about that coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Our girl, Farwell's Force member number one on our list, number 1 in our hearts. She wanted to hear the Temptations, and my girl on this All Request Friday, Motown edition. As we head into a weekend, not just 2 Kitchener Rangers games at the Memorial Auditorium, but a big KW Titans game. They're on the road up in Sudbury, taking on the first place 5. Shanif Harani is part of the Waterloo Region Sports and Entertainment Group, which owns the Titans and the Kitchener Panthers. And Shanif joins the show this morning. Good morning, Shanif.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. I know it's off season for baseball. We'll talk Panthers a little bit in just a moment, but I know you've got a vested interest in watching these KW Titans as well, sitting right behind those Sudbury Five in the standings. I mean, what do you need to get over the top here, Shanif?
Yeah, we're right there. We played a great game against them a couple weeks ago on our home court, and I think things are starting to come together. We have a few new players that just came in, and the guys seem to be gelling and getting along well and translating that onto the court.
I was there last weekend, got to see that really close game, just that 1-point loss to Windsor. Tough one for sure, but the atmosphere continues to impress, Shanif. It really is a great place to go and enjoy a sporting event with the family.
Yeah, it's a great outing for the family. It's local. You can get home at a good time and support your local pro team, which is something definitely unique in our region.
I know I mentioned at the outset you operate as the general manager of the Kitchener Panthers as well. We are in the off season, but as you look ahead to what's coming, I mean, we've got spring training in Major League Baseball. How are things shaping up for our Panthers for the season ahead?
Good. It's been a really exciting off season. We're starting this weekend actually with our own version of spring training, so we'll have a lot of our local players in to get together and start working out for the season. But interest has been great since we've made the league change this off season, and we're excited to have a great year.
What does that league change mean for us as fans?
So for fans, it's going to be a lot of the same thing, where our main focus is the fan experience and how we can make it a great outing, similar to the Titans games, how we can make it a great event for you and your family to attend. But I think for sure the baseball this year will be at another level than we've seen.
How do you spend your off season, Shanif? What do you do to get this Panthers team ready to run it back again next season?
So this off season, I've taken a few trips. I went down to the Dominican Republic. I went down to Florida as well to start looking for some players. And then also, I'm fortunate that with the Titans and the Panthers, we have great staff behind the scenes. So working with them as well to make sure that we're all ready to go come opening day.
How much does the interest in the Toronto Blue Jays kind of overlap into the interest into baseball here locally?
I think it's been huge. We saw it in 2019 with the Raptors, how basketball, especially at the grassroots level, took off. And I think we're seeing that this year with baseball as well. I know Kitchener minor baseball specifically has seen record registration rates, and I think the interest in our team as well has been noticeably higher after the great run the Blue Jays made.
I know we're, keeping our eyes, of course, on our Titans on the road for that big game, and that's indoor sports. But I love thinking about those warm nights at the ballpark, and if they can't get here soon enough for me.
You and me both. I'm ready for the snow to be gone.
Absolutely. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Thanks, Mike.
Shanif Hirani is the general manager of your Kitchener Panthers and, of course, part of that Waterloo Region Sports and Entertainment Group that has the KW Titans in the portfolio. The Titans are what we'll focus on for now. You heard Shanif mention busy offseason trips down to the Dominican, looking for those players that will make this Panthers team a competitive team for the upcoming season. The KW Titans are already a competitive team in this season. And they're coming off a 1-point loss to Windsor. I know they weren't happy about it with that loss last weekend on home court, but they're up in Sudbury to face the Five, and just one game back of the Sudbury Five are our Titans as they take the court tomorrow night up in Sudbury. The Titans with an 11-5 record, the Sudbury Five with a 12-4 record. So go Titans, go this weekend. We'll watch their scores from afar. And we'll, of course, be at the Memorial Auditorium while the Titans are away. Home tonight to Brampton, home Sunday to the London Knights. Your Friday 4 Roundtable, a discussion of the week's big stories, is coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. like 20 years or so after Barrett Strong recorded the song Money, a band called the Flying Lizards did it as well, but Barrett Strong does it better. All Request Friday, Motown edition. Tom Galloway, don't make that face at me. I don't make up the music or the trivia associated with it. The Flying Lizards did a version of that song in the 1980s.
Flying Lizards?
They listen, as God is my witness, I thought lizards could fly. Yes, the Flying Lizards. But Barrett Strong did it first. It's a Motown edition of All Request Friday as we wrap up Black History Month here on the show. You're hearing Tom Galloway's voice because he is here before he buys me dinner tonight at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium, our Friday 4 roundtable. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. It is your turn to buy, right, Tom?
It's always my turn to buy, apparently.
David Drew is here as well, owner, negotiating change, government relations, stakeholder engagement strategies. Good morning, David.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And we find Marjorie Knight with us as well. Marjorie is a family outreach worker with the House of Friendship. Good to see you, Marjorie. Good morning.
Good morning. And there are awful things like flying lizards.
Wait,
just saying.
Really? There are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? There's awful music, like that. The music that was made by the Flying Lizards and Flying Lizards themselves. Also awful. Gotcha. Okay, let's dive in. We have 4 topics to discuss with our panelists here today. And Tom, I'll start with you. Why not? We talked about being together at the hockey game tonight. Olympic gold for Team USA. They may have won that, but then they may have lost the hearts of hockey fans. What do you make of Team USA's, the men's team's, behavior in their locker room phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump, Mr. Galloway?
Well, I'm going to take it a little bit further than just the locker room. I think I'd like to extend my comments all the way to the Oval Office and then to the State of the Union. I'm going to cut them just a little bit of slack, actually, because in terms of what happened in the dressing room, you have to imagine the state of euphoria they're in. But they were really taken advantage of by Kash Patel. First of all, what purpose does he have in that room? And then, of course, the misogynist in chief, the president of the United States. Who probably never put on a pair of skates because, he has those bone spurs. So I think they really got taken advantage. They got caught to some extent. There's obviously people or members of that team who are MAGA-like. I'm pretty sure the Chachuk brothers are MAGA-like individuals. So, and then there's others that obviously, there was 5 people who had reasons not to go to the White House and not to go to the State of the Union. And then, of course, Austin Matthews also did not go to the State of the Union. It's an awful thing what the president did to them and the things that he said, and they're paying a price for it. They should have responded differently. A lot of them are now understanding and recognizing that. The one thing I'm not sure you could say positive out of all this is that the inequality between men's and women's sports has been really emphasized in this regard. In terms of the ladies' team, the women's team winning the same medal, not getting anywhere than the same treatment, and they had a completely different reaction. They didn't have a locker room opportunity, but certainly they had an opportunity to go to the White House and to the State of the Union, and they chose, and good for them. So I think if there's anything good that could come out of this, it's that inequality has been emphasized, and hopefully that chasm will be reduced over time.
I like that glass half full approach to the ending of those thoughts. David, what do you make of Team USA's behavior post gold medal victory?
I really didn't. I'm with Tom on the locker room phone call. I believe that, they were in a post game. They were sitting there. I'm pretty sure almost any joke being told to them by the president of the United States would have made them laugh. It was just one of those things where you want to exhale. It's post-traumatic almost. They are on such an adrenaline hangover. About going to the State of the Union, though, I'm going to take it a little bit further and split hairs with Tom a bit. Not that he or I have any to spare. Most NHL hockey players are Republicans. They are, I was CBC who did a story on this, and like 75% of NHL players are registered Republicans. Now, that's mainly about taxes, and that's why nobody wants to play in Canada or California, you know? But I could sort of see the difference. Of course, the women's team didn't go. They're actually friendly to lesbians, not like Donald Trump. Like, they looked at this as an insult to be invited and spat in his face practically. And with the men's, you know, you had people like Austin Matthews who have the clout to skip out on it. But, you know, if you're on an American team and you're one of those players who's marginal, you can't afford to get political about this. You got to show up. You know, it was disgusting, but I'm going to throw it one more to Gary Bettman. There was pressure on the teams to go to this because hockey really, really wants to be in that same tier as basketball and baseball. And this was their chance to try and get that big new audience. And so there was arm twisting on all sides for the players to show up. I still shame them, but I can't blame them.
It's so interesting to me. I've actually been, because I've given this quite a bit of thought through the week, and including this morning on my way into work, I'm wondering, am I taking too hard a stance? Because I'm still holding more of the locker room stuff against them. The euphoria that you both mentioned notwithstanding, because there's a moment there. And of course, you're probably going to laugh at anything the president says, because that's what you're supposed to do when the president makes a joke, however off color or distasteful the joke, in air quotes, is. But, I mean, who wouldn't go? The State of the Union is one thing, but who wouldn't accept the invitation to the highest office in the land if you are an American citizen? I mean, I remember when Stephen Harper came to a Kitchener Rangers game, and there was a lineup of fans wanting to see him. I've interviewed 3 consecutive prime ministers, from Paul Martin to Stephen Harper to Justin Trudeau, had pictures with all of them, because that's kind of, you know, isn't that what you do? So I'm much more forgiving of the attendance at the White House than I am the laughing at the women's expense. That's how I feel about it.
You need to know that when you are showing up at a White House, you are a prop and an endorser. You are putting your light onto whomever you are shaking hands with and accepting the congratulations of. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, if Justin Trudeau had called me up 3 years ago to say, David, I want you to come to Ottawa to recognize you as a great person, I probably would have showed up.
This is what I mean.
And we all know how I felt about the guy.
That's exactly what I mean. When the prime minister or the president, and just, again, just as a proud citizen, I think, how do you, anyway, I'm going to get it over to Marjorie, but I want to put my 2 cents in there because I'm actually opposite the two of you. Marjorie, your thoughts?
I don't forgive none of them for nothing. Nothing. It was crass and it was wrong. And okay, you know, it's kind of like the bro code. Everybody laughs at everything. It's you know, it's almost a culture amongst men. Sorry, guys.
No, you're right, and that's where I feel that's a hard part for me.
To belittle women.
I'm just a boy.
And to make fun of women and to, you know, oh, but I'm just joking. Can't you take a joke? This is just all part and parcel of that. And I'm not happy with it. And okay, you're all in a moment and everything was, you know, going on and you had to laugh at the president's joke. I haven't heard anybody apologize. I haven't heard anybody stand up and say, you know what? This is not how we feel about you. We really respect your program. We respect you women. You did an awesome thing. Man, we are so proud of you. I haven't heard anything like that. I haven't heard a response to the women. The women have acted with dignity. I'm sure we're all cursing in the background, but not publicly. We are maintaining our dignity. And for Flavor of all people to step up, oh my God. Seriously, that's who has to stand up in defense of the women's team? Because the rest of all these wonderful athletes and organizations and all these things, where are you standing up? Where are you saying the words? Yeah, big thing. Go to the White House. So many people of so many different ilk have refused to go to the White House because they refuse to be a prop and a stand-up for this man who is world's worst person. It's called character. It's called conscience. It's called, responsibility. I haven't seen any of that. So no, I am not giving anybody a pass because they've had multiple opportunities to say something, to stand up for something, to show something, show respect. 6 medals. Totally disrespectful, and nobody gets a pass.
Nobody gets a pass from Marjorie Knight. We've had partial passes from Tom Galloway and David Drew. We've made reference to the State of the Union. Let's dive into that a little deeper here as we continue our Friday 4 roundtable discussion this morning. What did we make of the 108-minute speech, or was it a lecture? I'm not sure, from Donald Trump. That's coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand, with an equal opportunity for all to sing, dance, and clap their hands. Well, just because a record has a groove, don't make it in the groove. But you can tell right away left to A when the people start to move.
Oh, a little bit of Stevie Wonder. I can tell that David Drew is enjoying it. Some Sir Duke by request from Carrie on your All Request Friday Motown edition. Carrie grew up in Windsor, grew up listening to this across the border from Detroit. What a lucky person Carrie is. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Carrie. David Drew, Marjorie Knight, Tom Galloway with us on our Friday 4 roundtable this morning. We made reference to it in segment 1. Let's do a deeper dive here in segment 2. David, you get first crack at it. The State of the Union itself from the president. I accused him earlier this week of lobbing hand grenades when he could have thrown some flowers across the aisle. If you want to crack down on illegal immigrants, there might be ways to build consensus on that. Instead, we had the extended standing ovation when he called out the Democrats. But nonetheless, David, your take on the State of the Union this week.
I don't want to. I feel like we're already talking about it too much. To me, the hockey part of it was the most significant thing because this was Donald Trump at his most scripted. So it's the least trusted of, this is where his aides actually put stuff in front of him and said, read the script. And apparently he did, because nobody was talking about the improvisations that they were in past years. So I trust none of it. He's going to wake up, he's going to have some bad digestion, and he's going to declare war on another country that has nothing to do with anything he said. Apparently U.S. is the winningest country in the world. They're winning so much they need to stop. He didn't spit on any of the Supreme Court justices that were in his line of sight, which was kind of surprising given the rulings they've just thrown his way and the way he talked about them. You really thought that he was going to throw some bombs their way too. But yeah, he followed the script. To me, that's the most newsworthy part of it. Next.
Marjorie, what do you think of the script he followed in that case?
Full of the usual suspects. Lies. Divisive behavior, harping on illegal alien people. I could go on for days on that. It's just made up fallacy fantasy. There is nothing real about that except that he is beating up on people who are most vulnerable in this country. Awful mess.
The
There isn't
midterms,
anything.
the midterms may be a reality check. Tom Galloway, what do you think?
Well, are there going to be midterms? So that's maybe for another day, Mike. But yeah, are there going to be midterms? When I was in Mexico, I talked to a couple of Americans. They're not so sure that there will actually be midterms. But anyways, getting back to the State of the Union, what I liked about the his State of the Union is that you know exactly where the truth is because it's exactly opposite to what he says. So it is very, very clear. He has taken gaslighting to a whole new level and has really created gaslighting as an art form, really. And so when his lips are moving, he's lying. So you know that what he is saying is exactly the opposite. So when he says the economy is so great, and as David referred to, we're winning so much, people are saying we're winning too much. Can we stop winning for a bit? You know he's lying, and you know that he knows that that's not the case, unless he is completely delusional. What I also found interesting is that half of his time was taken as an award ceremony. And I know that in other State of the Union, there's the odd award and person who's recognized in the gallery. But his ratings are so bad, his polling is so bad, he has to try to associate himself with all these, some of them are heroes, some of them have done fantastic accomplishments very legitimately. And I feel badly for them that they are there as props. Marjorie indicated that earlier with the hockey team. And he's just trying to associate himself to try to deter from his negative polling. He's trying to associate himself with these people who have done some really good things. And the only thing I thought was missing in it all was I thought he would also have a pardoning ceremony because there's all kinds of fraudsters that he could have pardoned. There's all kinds of billionaires who have cheated and lied and enriched him that he could have pardoned, for $1 million each. So I was surprised actually that he didn't take time to do that.
David, I thought I'd go ahead.
I was thinking that the most interesting news coming out of the U.S. in the past couple of weeks was Barack Obama saying that aliens are real. And the next day, Donald Trump saying he was going to declassify everything related to Area 51. But,
fun.
No, but seriously, I don't know. I think Barack Obama was saying this in the, there's all those worlds out there, of course, sort of thing. And so right away, Donald Trump was looking for any distraction he could find from Epstein, from the polling. And by the way, American manufacturing is going through the same decline, almost job for job, percentage, that Canadian manufacturing is. These tariffs that we are so worried about are hitting them just as much right now.
Absolutely.
David Drew, Marjorie Knight, Tom Galloway with us on our Friday 4 roundtable this morning. You want to get one more quick one in there, Marjorie? You got 15 seconds.
I was just saying, I was just watching that when they were interrogating Hillary Clinton, they asked her about aliens too. They're really picking up on that.
Yeah, and Pizzagate. Oh my God.
That is Ontario's version of the new Science Centre. Don't worry about the state of healthcare in Ontario right now. Premier Ford's building a $1 billion science centre and spa down on the waterfront. David Drew, Marjorie Knight, Tom Galloway with us on our Friday 4 roundtable. An update from the 570 News Centre, and then let's talk term limits. It seems to me a couple of local councillors have imposed term limits on themselves. Maybe we should impose them on everybody else. Conversation continues on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is Martha Reeves and the Vandellas for Nate. By request on this All Request Friday, Motown Music Edition. A little bit of Jimmy Mack. Wes wanted to hear Dancing in the Street. It's by Martha and the Vandellas, so hopefully get a little 2-for-1 there. I know it's not Dancing in the Streets, Wes, but we are jam full of requests today as we celebrate Motown on this final Friday, the month of February and Black History Month. Joining us on our Friday 4 Roundtable today to discuss the week's big stories, we have with us David Drew, who's the owner of Negotiating Change, Government Relations and Stakeholder Engagement Strategies. Tom Galloway is here, a retired regional councillor. Can't wait to hear what he's got to say about this next topic. And Marjorie Knight is with us as well. She is with the House of Friendship and operates as a family outreach worker. Marjorie is going to get first crack at this next discussion, which is about term limits. I'm just throwing this out there because both Jen Vasic in Waterloo, Ward 5, and Royce Bodley in Waterloo, Ward 2, have decided 2 terms is enough. And they have announced early their intentions to not seek a third term so that they can make the way clear for anybody else considering a run. Both Councillor Vasic and Councillor Bodley are saying, hey, if you want some input or you want to talk a little bit about it, by all means, reach out. But 2 terms done for both Bodley and Vasic, Marjorie Knight. Should we have 2 terms for every elected official? What do you think of the idea of term limits, Marjorie?
I thought this was very interesting. Usually when you hear about party leaders or, heads of government, prime ministers, presidents, you hear about things like term limits. And it's always in the news when somebody tries to do away with these term limits. So people hold dearly to term limits. In terms of municipal politics, I don't think it would necessarily be a bad thing. Some people would say on the hand that to ensure continuity, that it might be a good thing for somebody to be in a position for longer than 2 years, because your first year, you're just catching up. And the second year is the first time you'll really be able to move anything forward. But by the same token, once somebody wins, the incumbent usually has the advantage. So do we get fresh blood in, fresh perspectives to, make changes or do something different? Could we get that without term limits? So I'm a little conflicted on either side of that. We do need to have fresh perspectives. Sometimes people stay for too long. But when you're an incumbent, that is your advantage. People know who you are and they'll vote for you repeatedly. And you could stay in there almost forever. So should there be a term limit? The question is, what would be the term limit? I don't know that 2 years is a limit that I would enforce, because I think that, as I said before, the first year you're finding your feet and learning things. Your second year is the first time when, with confidence, you'll be able to push forward and do things and bring up motions or things to happen. So I don't know that 2 years is the ideal term limit. But I do think that at some point there should be a term limit. Otherwise, you'll have some people who will sit there forever.
Yeah, well, and when it comes to the president of the United States, of course, it is 2 terms. We're not sure if that's going to change either this time around, but that's another story entirely. And I'm with you, Marjorie. I find myself conflicted on this, but I think it's an interesting talking point. Tom Galloway, you were around municipal politics for a little more than 2 terms, but what do you think of the idea of term limits, self-imposed or otherwise?
Well, I think it does depend on what level of government you're talking about, too. I think it makes a difference what level of government you're talking about. But, we already do have term limits, even I'm going to talk mostly about the municipal level where I'm familiar. And I was there for quite some time. There actually are some term limits, although informal as they are. I mean, the electorate decides your limit. And if you mess up and or they want change or whatever, I mean, they have an opportunity at the end of each term. There's no doubt that incumbents have some advantage. I wouldn't deny that. But whether it's a self-imposed term limit like Jen and Royce are doing, and I respect both of those people a lot, I like them both a lot, it really depends on the individual when it comes to imposing their own limit on their, and there may be some personal factors associated with what's going on in their lives, jobs, moving or whatever. Experience is a good thing. And I hear a lot of people when I had to campaign, well, you've got the experience, and if they like what is happening, then experience is a good thing. I'll tell you, some people who would like term limits, and I'm not going to disparage all staff, but there are staff that would like to have term limits because sometimes some members of councils and whatnot know a lot. They've been there around a long time. They have corporate history that a new person wouldn't have. And some staff, and again, I'm not disparaging all staff by any means, could take advantage and will take advantage of a new member of council for their lack of understanding or knowledge. The other thing I want to mention in terms of term limits too is that major projects, and I'm going to use the LRT as an example, that goes way past 2 terms. We started on the LRT in the year 2000. We cut the ribbon in 2019. So if you are going to get constant turnover at the political level where you need champions and you need political leadership on major projects like that, I think a lot of those projects could suffer as a result. I think you've written recently on the conference and the new arena thing. I mean, again, that's probably a 15 or more year project. And if you are going to constantly have turnover at the local level in political leadership, those projects will be difficult to get through.
On that point, I'll just finish I'll start where you finished. 15 years ago, we talked about this new arena and conference center, and we haven't done it yet. That's one of my frustrations with incumbency because I think there's a little bit of complacency. I remember the conversations when we talked about this is what we're going to do, and 15 years later, I might be the only one talking about it right now. That said, I'm very sympathetic to your argument, Tom, and I think it's a valid one, that there is actually a term limit of 1. And then it's up to the electorate if they want you for another and even another after that. And that's why I find myself conflicted on this. David Drew, what do you think? Term limits.
Okay, I'm going to pick a fight now. I buy more into the idea that it's a one-off term limit and that the voters get to decide if we had a decent amount of turnout for municipal and school board elections. The turnout level is so abysmal that I'm not willing to say that it's an effective check. And, that's not dissing the system. It's just I am going to say I don't trust that. I do not want to come out in favor of term limits, though, because term limits are about an individual. And, can you imagine if Ken Sealing, like the guy, I think, survived 3 sets of government organization. He was regional chair first for Waterloo County, then for the region of Waterloo. If we'd have put term limits on that guy, I can't imagine it. But there's no question that when you look at school boards, you look at regional councils, city councils across Canada, the turnover rate is abysmally low. And we've got to find a way to encourage turnover without making it about one individual having a hard limit. And I don't know how we do that. It's incredibly hard. But when you just see these same names at the school board level getting acclaimed time after time after time, and you're like, well, hey, if somebody really if they were doing a bad job, somebody would have run against them and won. And it's like, well, that's not quite how it works when you have the power of incumbency behind you. And I do not know how we address it. I'm against the idea of term limits, but the situation we have right now is definitely not healthy for our system.
Maybe the effort has to be in increasing voter turnout. Maybe that's where we head in this regard. Interesting, though, by all means, around the horn. David Drew, Marjorie Knight, Tom Galloway with us on our Friday 4 roundtable this morning. We'll come back with one more topic to discuss, and this was something on my mind as this week began because the Olympics had just finished. And I will just say again, I'm a little bit bummed, a little bit disappointed. 5 gold medals for Canada, 21 total. I love what the athletes accomplished, but I think I think we should aspire for more. We'll find out what our guests think about that as we continue the Friday 4 Roundtable on the Mike Farwell Show this morning. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Inject it into my veins. I love me some Four Tops. Reach out and I'll be there by request from Annie on your All Request Friday Motown edition, wrapping up Black History Month and some terrific Motown sounds on the show today. Our Friday 4 Roundtable discusses 4 topics with 3 individuals plus yours truly to make 4. Tom Galloway, Marjorie Knight, David Drew with us around the virtual table this morning. One more for us to discuss. And Tom, I'll start with you. I was a little disappointed. I mean, I know the athletes put in their best, and I'm proud of everybody who accomplished what they accomplished, but I think we as a nation can aspire for greater. Why don't we invest more in sports and win more medals at the Olympics, Tom Galloway?
Well, I agree with you. It was mildly disappointing. I thought we did okay. I mean, other countries are doing well and probably putting more money into these efforts. I want to take a little bit more of a holistic view of this question, if I could, and kind of start at, on a continuum. And of course, we end up with gold medals, possibly at the end of that continuum. I think it's really necessary for society and for the governments at all levels to support arts and sports for activities for our youth. There's all kinds of advantages, of course, and Marjorie would probably understand that too from some of the work, the opportunities that are created when children are busy in those kinds of activities, and they learn really good life lessons about when you work hard, you can accomplish things, whether they're good at music or they're good at some kind of a sport. And then the government also needs to invest along the way for the and this would naturally occur for the elite athletes then, or the people who are elite in music or other arts forms. That they can then, if they get into the competitive stream, that they can then excel at that level. And then, of course, at the end of the day, those very, very elite athletes end up in the Olympics or other types of competitions, and they're rewarded, and the country is rewarded for all that activity. So I think on a continuum basis, we need to be investing in these activities, and then we need to be supporting those that rise to the top in all the areas of endeavor and support them at the international level.
I can certainly get behind a pursuit of excellence, whatever that pursuit may be. David Drew, what do you think? More into sports so we can win more medals?
Yes and no. There's so many things we need to be spending money on. I can't say that sports is more important than housing, than healthcare, than you know what I mean? I can't, but I'd like to. I can't say that it's more important, but darn it, I was kind of disappointed by the 5 Olympic golds. I had a good rant with you on Monday about how it's the government's fault and we got exactly what we deserved for our investment. And then I read a Globe and Mail article earlier this week, and I think I forwarded it to you, Mike, and they were just talking about how universities are now cutting sports because they can't afford to maintain it. And I look at the Yenotiani pool in Sudbury, the Olympic pool that's been closed for 10 years because they can't afford to fix it. I think back to the yeoman's work that Peter Braid had to do to try and get federal funding for the Laurier pool when it needed repairs, because it was the only Olympic length training facility in southwestern Ontario. Now, even that wasn't Olympic level because it didn't have the full amount of lanes, but it had the full length you could travel. If we do not have these Olympic level pools, we will not have Olympic level swimmers. And it is not feasible for a mid-sized city like Kitchener or Waterloo to be having Olympic-sized pools on their budgets. It's not reasonable to expect that universities bear the brunt of Olympic-sized pools on their budgets. But federal government doesn't really fund community pools. So we have a problem here. And if we want to say that sport is a national thing and we need a national pipeline, that starts at the very beginning with infrastructure and people. And that isn't just about funding your community hockey league. It's about making sure that we have rinks and pools.
I think there's a nation-building argument to be made here. I really do. And I take your point to heart about healthcare, housing, etc. I want to know what's in the entire pot of money, though, because I'm not saying sports is a higher priority than those two things and probably a handful more. I'll bet you, though, we could find some things in that big pot where I would certainly rank sport above some of the other priorities that are currently being ranked above.
Would you put that money into sport, or would you put that, if I found waste right now, if I could find $1 million bucks?
Great question.
I'm not sure I'd be putting it into sports.
John Malloy always asked me that question. If you had $1 more to spend, where would you spend it? That's a very, very good question. Marjorie, what do you think? More money into sports? You're still on mute.
I was too. So we ask our young and who are athletes to train. We ask them to work out. We ask them to excel in sports. It starts from an early age. We ask them to sacrifice. We ask them to give up. I remember how many family holidays I did not go on because our under 20 team had to train, had to work out, had to go through a prescribed regiment of things to be done. So I couldn't go on vacation because I had to train. I had to give up a whole heap of things in order to make those teams and to excel and to operate at the level that was expected of me. We're asking a lot of these athletes. They're putting their lives on hold. They are not, you are regimented to within an inch of your life of what you're doing. When your friends are going out partying and doing stuff, you have your nose to the grindstone because you have to do this and you have to be this good, and to be this good, this is what you have to put in. It's what you have to do day after day after day. We ask this of them in order for them to run for us, to swim for us, to ski for us, to do wicked, weird, wild things in the air off of jumps that are just insane. We ask them to do this for us, for country, for glory. And if we're going to ask that of them, the least we can do is make sure we fund them. Now, yes, there are lots of things I could do with another $1. There are a mountain of things I could do with another $1 million. But if we're going to go on this for country and glory thing, then we're going to have to put some money in there and fund it properly. Not to say, if we had the infrastructure in place and we were doing what other countries do, we wouldn't have this big race around, World Cup in Canada, where can we play these games? Because we don't have the infrastructure. If we were into serious sports tourism and hosting, we would do a lot more. We could do a lot more.
Okay. I'm already out of time, Dave. Quick.
Why are we spending all that money on the World Cup rather than putting it into our own sporting system?
Okay. Great question to leave us on. I honestly am right out of time. Tom Galloway, I'll see you tonight at the rink. David Drew, Marjorie Knight, thank you for being here. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Another one from Marvin Gaye on this All Request Friday Motown Music Edition. I heard it through the grapevine. That one is for Heather, Farwell's Force, member number 92. We wrap up Black History Month with some Motown sounds on your All Request Friday this week. And thank you to those of you who have emailed in even more requests. I'm sorry we are jammed up, but what have we got? 1, 2, 3 more I think we can get to today. So you will hear more Motown sounds as we move through our final hour together of the week. And as always, our final hour of the week is a wide open phone line hour for you. We call it Free Phones Friday, not because we're giving away phones for free, but because our phone lines are free for your use. 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. You get the chance to start the conversation. Maybe you can weigh in on something we just talked about during our Friday 4 roundtable. Maybe there's something else entirely that you would like to bring to the table. We are all ears for it here on Free Phones Friday. One of the things that we did get into during the Friday 4 roundtable today that I wanted to expand on just a little bit further, because I was thinking about this as I came to work this morning, and I was thinking, am I being too rigid? Shocker, because I am about as stubborn as the day is long. But I was wondering, I was asking myself the question, am I being unfair? Am I expecting perfection from others when I am certainly far from perfect myself? And I can see that argument, but I think I'm going to stay where I've landed on this issue, but I thought I'd share more of it with you. And it's funny because I was thinking about this morning. I thought, oh, this is a good way to start the show. And then I realized, no, it's Friday. We do our not $1 million question, have a little bit of fun. But to the point, I've been thinking a lot about the men's hockey team for Team USA, the gold medal win, the subsequent phone call from the president, during which they laughed at the lame joke. You can't even call it a joke, can you, that the president made? Well, we're going to have to invite the women's team too. And then there's the laughter, and then you're off to the White House, and some stayed for the State of the Union. And I touched on this a little bit during the Friday 4 roundtable, but here's where I have landed. I honestly don't give a tinker's darn about your politics. I really don't. If you are an athlete that I admire or don't admire, it doesn't matter. I just don't care what your politics are. If you play a sport, then play a sport. And I don't expect you to be political, and I don't care if you show a political stripe. And I don't know that accepting an invitation to the White House is any indication of your political stripe. I really don't. I think I might be even more than 50-50 on this. I might be 60-40, 75-25, that you go to the White House or you go to, well, we never get invited to Sussex Drive in Ottawa, right? But we get invited to Parliament Hill, perhaps to be feted by the Prime Minister or the Governor General. I don't know. But we don't do that necessarily because of our political beliefs. I think we do that often for a pride of nation, right? A pride of citizenship. So you get invited. I just don't hold attendance at the White House accepting that invitation against the players that accepted that invitation. I don't hold it against them if they turned it down, like the women's team did, and some other athletes may have. Not everybody gets invited. For some reason, it's the hockey team that gets invited. Anyway, it happens after Super Bowls. It happens after World Series. It happens after Stanley Cups. If you're American and you're proud of being an American, why would you not accept an invitation to the highest office in the land? That's my take on it. And it's like all of this stuff that's been said and all of the criticisms of Wayne Gretzky for the people he hangs out with and his politics. Wayne Gretzky will always be, forever and a day, for me, the greatest hockey player to ever play the game. And that's it. I just, and maybe I should care more, but I don't hold Wayne Gretzky in any high regard, higher than he is the greatest hockey player that's ever played the game. And that includes Connor McDavid today. Yes, we can have that argument too. It's a good sports argument. Grab a beer, pull up a bar stool, here we go. But it just, to me, I just don't get caught up in that because I don't think it matters. It's the same with musicians, with actors. It just, you can make your political statements, you cannot make your political statements. I appreciate you for how you perform your craft, be it on ice with a hockey stick or on screen or TV or the music that you record for me. I really can. I have a pretty easy time separating the two, and you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. I've had a harder time getting over, and Marjorie Knight alluded to this in our Friday 4 roundtable, the bro code, if you will, that was on full display when Donald Trump made that, again, in air quotes, joke about, oh, we have to invite the women's team too. And all the guys just had a big old guffaw, a big old laugh about it, right? And when I was thinking about it this morning, I thought, and this was brought up on the roundtable today, you know, you just won the gold medal. Like, the last thing you're thinking is about anything socially aware. You've just gone through what you've gone through to win the first gold medal for the U.S. at the Olympic men's hockey in, 46 years. You beat Team Canada, which kind of avenges the loss at the Four Nations Cup. Like, there was a lot going on there. And so in the minutes after that, to receive a call from the president and be ready to be on your very best, I'm like, am I being too hard on these guys in this context? But I thought, no, especially the captains, especially one of those captains being the captain of the National Hockey League team that I cheer for. I mean, sorry, but you play in a market like that and put a letter on your sweater like that and want to be the captain, that comes with certain responsibilities. It really does. And I would have just loved for any one of those guys to not adhere to the bro code and be the one that was aware enough, because it shows then that it's ingrained. Be self-aware enough to say, hey, guys, come on. Like, that's not a joke. That's nothing to laugh at. All you needed was to hear that voice in that room, right? So as I'm going over this morning, coming into work, I'm like, again, am I expecting perfection? Maybe to some degree, but again, you wear that C on your jersey as a hockey player. There is an expectation of role modeling behavior that comes with it. And if you really did, admire the women's game, believe in the women's game, there are PWHL franchises in many of the cities. Hello, Toronto. There's one right there. Austin Matthews can do better in that situation. I would like to think that he would do better in that situation. He let us all down a little bit, I think, in that situation. That's the part of it that bothers me the most. The laughter at the apparent joke. Somebody had to, do some bystander intervention there and remind his teammates that this isn't the sort of thing we laugh at. We are well past laughing at things like that. You want to be proud of the nation that you come from and accept an invitation to the White House or accept an invitation to go meet our prime minister. I have a hard time holding that against you, no matter what my political stripe is. But this one rubbed me the wrong way. And so I've been lucky since the Leafs came back, because they've sucked so bad in their 2 games so far, and there has not been a single goal scored by their captain, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm still a Leafs fan, because my fandom started long before Austin Matthews got there and will continue long after he's gone. So I'm still a Leafs fan. I'm still going to cheer for the Leafs. But we used to do a thing that started the show every day after the Leafs had played. We called it AM on AM in the AM, Austin Matthews on AM radio in the AM part of the day. And we'd replay the highlight of an Austin Matthews goal, or sometimes 2 or 3 or even 4. And I like to play it up with some exaggeration. Oh, the greatest hockey player. I never really thought he was, but I think he's a very good hockey player, and he's still a good hockey player. But I don't know that I have to cheer for him specifically or promote him specifically with AM on AM in the AM anymore. So maybe you think I'm being too rigid. Maybe you think I'm too harsh. Maybe you've got thoughts on that. But here's something I thought of. And I would much prefer to promote the great Joe Bowen. And I'm not at all interested in promoting myself. But We are your home for Kitchener Rangers hockey. So I've decided for the rest of this season what we are going to do instead of AM on AM in the AM. We're going to do something like JP on 570.
Jack Pridham gets the shot, blocker save, Andonovsky pinching in, couldn't get a shot. Arquette on it now, in back of the net, out to Pridham, he scores! Oh, the Rangers were relentless on that puck. Arquette finds Pridham, and Pridham finds the back of the net.
There you go, JP on 570 for Jack Pridham. Or how about a little Eddie 570?
Across the zone to Humphreys. Christian Humphreys for the Rangers, back at the blue line. Finds a lane shot, scores! Edwards the tip! Oh, baby! Tie game again!
Dylan Edwards, nickname Eddie. Eddie 570 or JP on 570. That's how we will celebrate hockey on the show moving forward. Just 2 cents from me as we start Free Phones Friday for another week. Our final hour together for another week here on the show. It's Free Phones Friday on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all. Look out. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Listen to me. I despise. 'Cause it means destruction of this life. One means tears to thousands of mothers die.
Ron, Farwell's Force, member number 32, wanted to hear some Edwin Starr and War. What is it good for? On this All Request Friday Motown edition as we wrap up Black History Month. Speaking of Farwell's Force, I just added another name to it today. Rockin' Ronnie joins us at number 326. Ron is 32 on Farwell's Force. Rockin' Ronnie is 326. This is a growing force for good, force for change, force to be reckoned with. It all just kind of started as a little bit of fun, and we are absolutely a force to be reckoned with today. If you'd like to be a part of it, all you have to do is listen for 15 minutes a day. Choose your 15 minutes. Listen longer than 15 minutes if you'd like, but if you listen for 15 minutes or more every day, by all means, drop me an email, mike@570news.com. We will assign you a number, an official membership in Farwell's Force. All it gets for you right now is to be a part of the Force for Good. But we like being a force for good. We'll work on some other perks down the road, I think. All right, back to the phones. It is Free Phones Friday. Kyle, good afternoon.
Raise a glass to Mike Farwell. Bold and bright. Farwell for hire. As we rally tonight for cystic fibrosis, we answer the call. Farwell for shirts. We'll outfit them all. Got a cricket or print shop? Call Mike Farwell. Because the cause is here. So if you want to get the gear, call Mike Farwell here. Oh, I'm going to get those shirts, man. We're going to get sponsorship for this. I'm telling you. If I have to do this every Friday until somebody can sponsor us for these Farwell for Force shirts, we're going to do it, buddy. I'm telling you.
Please don't do that every Friday, Kyle. Please don't do that ever again. That's not going to help, Kyle. It's not going to help.
You don't think so? What if somebody just calls magically and was like, I'll do it?
Sponsor our Farwell's Force t-shirts?
I tell you, we need these shirts, man. It's for a good cause, and I want one. If I have to even just get you to come over and we'll print one ourselves, we'll get it. But we need one. I will put $100 for this shirt if I have to, just to get my name on it, and just because it's for a good cause, my friend. So there you go. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. If anybody would like to be our official sponsor of Farwell's Force swag, I promise you I will never let Kyle sing again. That should do it for us right there, right? Andre is next on Free Phones Friday. Good afternoon, Andre.
Good afternoon, Mike. Is Heidi means ketchup cow?
Yes, it does. By the way, Andre, do you know the difference between disco and Motown?
Oh, my goodness. Hey, you hold that one, eh?
I will hold that one. You requested, I don't know how somebody let you pick Donna Summer for Motown music today.
I just remember when I was a kid listening to the Jackson 5, Diana Ross, and just Donna Summer was just my favorite growing up when I was just...
Yes, but Donna Summer got you into a disco era. The other two, Jackson 5 and Diana Ross, would have qualified, of course, as Motown.
There you go.
Okay. What's on your mind today,
Makes me
Andre?
smarter.
Yeah.
So I got to recap because I want to be quick here. So you, this morning at 9:30, you had the people from Mexico, and I was very happy to hear that the helicopters were flying to keep eyes on safety, and that she was explaining that the bad guys weren't for the people. They were more sharing their violence and anger, like the professor I think you had this week was explaining. Of a result. So I really like that. And then the other segment was during the round table. It was really nice to hear Marjorie Knight back. Missed her. I had a little bit of concern. I thought maybe something in Jamaica happened or what, but it was really nice for her to be back on the show. And go Rangers, go.
Thanks, Andre. People are allowed to take vacations. We let them take vacations, you know. Jim is next on Free Phones Friday. Good afternoon, Jim.
Good afternoon, Mike. Hey, you were talking to the gentleman who runs the Kitchener Panthers earlier.
Shanif Hirani, yes, sir.
And mentioned the spike in kids signing up for minor league baseball in Kitchener.
That's right.
I'm an umpire in Cambridge. We're seeing the same spike in Cambridge. I just wanted to call in and put the call out for umpires there. There's lots of kids, but we can always use more umpires. So if you used to play baseball, if you used to coach, if you ever thought about it, it's a lot of fun. I've been umpiring for almost 9 years now, and I highly recommend it. It's a good experience. I enjoy the people I work with. You generally get treated a little better than the hockey refs do, I would say. So if you're worried about that kind of thing, and it's all age groups, it's men and women, it's a great experience. So if you've ever thought about contributing, giving back to the community that way, and you do get paid a little bit of money to do it. So it's usually at night on the weekends, so you can have a day job and do it. And I'm just putting the call out for umpires there. So go Jays.
Jim, I got to tell you, before you go,
yeah,
I've thought about this myself. You're preaching right to the choir here, because ever since I stopped playing beer league ball, I'm like, I miss it. And I like being around the diamond, especially in the summertime. When else would you be around the diamond? So, like, what would I have to go through in order to qualify myself?
Well, I agree totally with you, Mike. I tried reffing basketball. It wasn't the same experience. There is something about being outside, especially at night, under the lights, warm weather, summer. You do feel like you're part of the game when you're out there on the field. It definitely develops a camaraderie with the guys that you're working with, and you do get to know some of the coaches and the kids, too. I wish I had that answer up my sleeve. I mean, I remember when I started from cold, and I just reached out to, there's an office in Cambridge. I can't remember the road it's on. I pulled in and I asked someone there, and they directed me to the website. I'm going to say go to OBA, Google OBA, Ontario Baseball Association, and I think from there I could probably pull it up while I'm trying to talk to you.
No, don't worry about it. I know a few people. I'll reach out.
OBA.
Okay.
Go Google OBA, Ontario Baseball Association, people, and look into umpiring. It's worth it.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Jim. Enjoy the rest of your day. It has crossed my mind. I got another buddy who does it. I'm like, what else would I do on a summer's night except drink beer? I won't take beer to the games, I promise. I'll be a good umpire. Free Phones Friday continues following this update from the 570 News Center on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Now, honey, that's quite a different
goodness. I have a standing rule here at this radio station and in life. It's the number one rule. And that rule is don't bleep up. I'll just put it that way as clearly and as bluntly as I can. And as radio friendly as I can. I said that the previous song we played, War by Edwin Starr, was for Ron, but it was for Randy. Randy, I'm sorry, Randy, to get mixed up with Ron. I don't know why. They both start with R, I suppose. So Randy wanted to hear Edwin Starr and War. Ron wanted to hear Smokey Robinson and the Miracles and Tears of a Clown. Ron is Farwell's Force member number 32. I should always remember my Farwell's Force members. But, I mean, we're up to 330 and counting as I speak. That's a lot for one guy to remember. And I am really regretting doing this with pen and paper. Because if I had put it into a sortable spreadsheet, I could search for people who would, like Rockin' Ronnie calls me early or emails me earlier, says, am I on the list? I'm like, Ronnie, I got 300 names to read through. You have to remember your number, Ronnie. But it's okay. It's all in good fun. And if those are the biggest mistakes we make in the day, we are doing okay for the day. Randy and Ron, thank you for your requests on this All Request Friday, Motown edition, as we wrap up Black History Month here on the show. We're going to get one more Motown tune before the day is done. I don't even know what it's going to be yet, but Jen, who is playing the songs on the other side of the glass, does. I also don't know what I'm going to get when I remind you that it's Free Phones Friday. Open phone lines so we can hear directly from you. 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Preston Paul, Farwell's Force member number 45. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Grand Poobah. How are you today?
I'm terrific, my friend. How are you?
Oh, all right. Sun is shining. It's going to get up to 5-6 degrees.
I love it. Rosie and I are going to have a good walk this afternoon.
Yeah, and next week it's looking really good after we get through the weekend and Monday. So it's looking pretty good. I was glad that you're getting rid of that AM on the AM with the AM. I like your new choices much better.
All right. JP on 570 or Eddie 570.
Yeah. So just wanted to say that I enjoyed the show today, and go Rangers, go for tonight.
Thanks, Paul. Great to hear from you as always, my friend. Enjoy your weekend.
You too, buddy.
Thanks, pal. Mike sends an email along those lines where I'm like, listen, you want to go to the White House? You want to go to accept an invitation from the Prime Minister or the Governor General or whatever the case may be? I'm like, hey, it's the highest office in your land. You're probably just a proud citizen. I find it easier to be forgiving in that regard. Mike's email says to Mike at 570news.com, Mike, people are judged by the company they keep. By accepting the invitation, they chose to be in company that made a joke, in quotes, at women's expense. If that was now a racial joke, would it still be justified? Kachuk had to apologize after the official White House account posted an AI video using him. That is the company he chose to be around. Fair enough. Fair enough. And like, I see it both ways. I just, giving you my truth about where I landed on it. I have an easier time with, you're an athlete. I really don't care about your politics. I don't care if you want to try to preach your politics to me. I'm following you as an athlete. And I think it's showing pride in nation to accept an invitation to the highest office. I'm having a harder time, and that's why I'm going to do away with AM on AM and the AM, being forgiving, if you will, of the laughter at the stupid joke, because it wasn't a joke at all. And we need to do better than that. And some of these athletes that were gathered there hold very important positions with their teams, including the captain of the Maple Leafs. And that's the kind of person you want to role model the right behavior. Grant, you're next on Free Phones Friday. Hello.
Yeah, hello. So you said a U.S. player, hockey player, laughed at it.
They all laughed at it, Grant.
Then they should all be disciplined. And you're not wrong.
Well, the beauty of it is, Grant, we can discipline them ourselves if we want to. We don't have to cheer for them. We don't have to buy their jerseys, whatever.
Yeah, and I understand that that's kind of tasteless, and not only is it tasteless, there's young individuals that are watching this, and they they hear their star players laughing at something that, if you want to laugh, don't laugh in your own home, but don't.
But this is the other thing. So then I think that what we need to model is the behavior where you're not laughing at something like that, right? And you talk about young people, yes. So young boys and girls who look up to these hockey players now see that and maybe consider it acceptable. But how about those young women? How about the U Sports Women's Hockey Championship that's coming back to Elmira in less than a month? March the 19th, we're going to open up, run through March 22nd at the Dan Snyder Memorial Arena. Best female hockey players in the country are going to be in our community. And you know that young girls in this community are going to have their noses pressed up against the glass at the Woolwich Community Center, where the Dan Snyder Memorial Arena is, to watch these games in a few weeks' time. That's the kind of stuff that I want us to be promoting and talking about and remembering in situations like that when the President of the United States says something so off color. Simple as that. Francis, you're next on Free Phones Friday. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I thought you might put out some kudos for your sister station, CKNX, down in Wingham.
Well, it's not my sister station.
100 years ago, they celebrated on the radio.
Were you there for the first day, Francis?
Maybe spiritually. I know my dad would have been there. God bless.
God bless, Francis. Listen, so just so we understand, sister stations are those who are actually within the same company. That's what we've referred to them as. Here in Kitchener, we have Chime 96.7 and Country 106.7. They are literally down the hall, their studios, from mine here at 570 News Radio. And then, of course, in the big Rogers entity, because Rogers is, I still believe we own more radio stations than any other company in this country. So 680, I should know what they call it. Do they call it City News 680 in Toronto? Anyway, 680 in Toronto is our sister station, and I could go on and on from there. But a sister station is within the company. I love me some radio. I already said earlier on the show today, I could talk for 4 hours every day and geek out over radio. One of our guests earlier today just happens to be a retired radio station employee from one of the greatest radio stations to ever grace this country, called AM 800 in Windsor, the Big 8 back in the day, CKLW. I could tell you stories about the Big 8, but I digress. Different company, as is CKNX. But my buddy Stevie Sabourin up there, I'll tell you what, for 20 years, went above and beyond to bring grassroots minor/junior hockey to his community, and just announced his retirement. But he was calling Wingham Ironmen games, Listowel Cyclone games. What's the team up in Mount Forest? Anyway, even lower level leagues than the GOHL. And Sabo was everywhere and got a lot of respect for him. And he works at CKNX. I got a lot of respect for people that are still doing what they do in this business, because it is a shrinking business. That's not the easiest place to make a living, but boy, oh boy. So just to be clear on what is and what is not a sister station, but I love me some history in this business, and a lot of fine folks have graced the airwaves over the years, and Steve is one of them. He's still working, but he's just given up on the hockey gig because, boy, oh boy, he's putting in miles and hours for very little, if anything, in the way of return. It's just for the love of the game. Pretty great story, pretty great guy. Ron, Farwell's Force member number 32. Here we go. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And how could you do that to me? Huh?
Well, listen, how do you know Randy's not like the greatest guy in the world? Maybe I gave you a compliment by getting you mixed up with Randy.
Did you?
Didn't I?
I don't know.
Okay.
But anyways, the reason I'm calling is, number one, when are we getting the, I got some time here waiting for my bus to head into Toronto for the pod camp again, which happens every year this time. Do you know what's going on with Blue Jay Hunter? Is he coming back soon, or when is that going to happen?
Yeah, Blue Jay Hunter starts regular season.
Okay, so it's when the regular season starts.
Yes. Opening day, whatever the closest Wednesday is to opening day. Thank you for the reminder. I got to send him an email and get that sorted. But yes, Blue Jay Hunter will absolutely be back for another year.
Well, that's good then, because I'm a little bit interested, because I've been watching a little bit of the following what's going on with the Jays and everything else. And I've been hearing a lot of information, so to say, about older players that were with the Jays, and I would like to hear what his thoughts were right now, because we just got Mad Max back, which is awesome, and I'd like to hear what his thoughts were and that type of things.
Yep, you'll hear Blue Jay Hunter again as soon as the regular season is underway.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. You're welcome, Ron. Good to hear from you today. I'm glad you are so engaged with our programming that you remember these things. Wednesdays during the regular Major League Baseball season, our very own Blue Jay Hunter will be here to talk Blue Jays baseball. Are we going to have another trip to the World Series? It is a long way back, but hey, who knows? We're just getting another season started, so you're allowed to hope for whatever you want to hope for. It's Free Phones Friday on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
But in the game I lost you. What a price to pay. I'm crying.
We're going to finish off and head into the weekend on a mellow note with more Smokey Robinson. Oh, baby, baby. All Request Friday, Motown Music Edition, as we wrap up Black History Month. It's been a good month of very good music, and another All Request Friday on your way 1 week from today, of course, because when it's Friday, it's All Request Day here on the show. We'll come up with a new theme for next week and play your requests. Free Phones Friday continues as we take your calls. Final hour together of the week. Jake, good afternoon.
Hello, Mike. How are you? Good afternoon.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Did the Rangers beat the Guelph Storm on Wednesday night, I heard.
You heard you heard correct.
Yes. And we got a big game against the Steelheads and London Knights this week. So I hope to see you tonight at the auditorium.
Well, you know where to find me, Jake.
Yes. And the David Schooley booth in the auditorium.
That's right, the David Schooley broadcast booth. You got it.
All right, I'll see you tonight.
Okay, Jake, thanks for the call. Jake is one of those true blue, diehard Rangers fans. You know, I grew up in this town, right? So I've been going to Kitchener Rangers games my entire life. And when I was a kid, obviously, Dad would take us to the games. And it was a rarity. We didn't go every Friday by any stretch of the imagination. And it felt like, because we lived over in the North Ward, the Mount Hope Bright-Up area, and it felt to me like we were driving like a million miles away. It was such a cool experience to be going all the way over there to the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. And we get there, and I couldn't resist. Like, I'd just be totally wrapped up in the game. And then as I got older, I started going to games myself. My buddies and I in high school almost always went on Friday nights by ourselves, sat up in we called them the banana benches, right? Those yellow general admission seats, $5. It was great. I bring all of this up because as long as I've been going to games and as big a fan as I think I am, still to this day, but I get to the games and now I go in early because I work at the games. So I'm usually walking into the arena around 4:30, 4:45. So I have plenty of time to get ready for the game, get my information together, prepare so I can do the best broadcast that I can for you. And I see Jake and his friends, like they're already lining up. The doors don't open till, 6:30, I think, right? An hour before game time? Or 6 o'clock then, because game starts at 7. I was thinking 7:30 for some reason. But the game starts at 7. Doors open an hour before that. And Jake and his buddies, like at 4:30, are already starting to line up. That is dedication. That is the kind of dedication that Rangers Nation has for their hockey club. I love it. I'm here for it. The Kitchener Rangers do take on the Brampton Steelheads tonight, as Jake just mentioned. And then the London Knights come to town on Sunday. If you missed it earlier with Rangers head coach Jussi Ahokas, you probably know Sam O'Reilly is suspended for the game tonight because he got into a fight. It was called a staged fight at the beginning of that game Wednesday in Guelph. So not only did Sam O'Reilly get a 5-minute fighting penalty, but a game misconduct on Wednesday. He got a 1-game suspension after that. So now he's out tonight as well. But Luca Romano will be back for the Kitchener Rangers tonight. So that's a pretty good thing, isn't it? One other thing around the Ontario Hockey League, and if I may, shamelessly, and this is shameless, but I came across this information just yesterday, and I was very excited to share it with you. And I shared it on my OHL podcast channels. It's just something I do for fun. It's a passion project. I love the Ontario Hockey League. I love the Kitchener Rangers more, but I love the Ontario Hockey League in general. And so I do this thing called the OHL podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. By all means, subscribe to it. Give it a follow. Listen every week. New episodes every Tuesday morning. There's a YouTube page. There's an Instagram page. There's a Facebook page. The OHL podcast. I like to think it's the one and only, but there are other ones. But this is the OHL podcast. And one of the things that I do on Friday mornings is put out a video called Fridays with Farwell. It's really creative, I know. And I don't love using my own name on it, but I like alliteration. So every Friday morning, I put out a little video about something that's going on in the league. And I got this information yesterday that got me really excited. And the information is this, that there was a delegation of sorts, a group of league officials from the Ontario Hockey League in Cornwall this week. Now, if you know anything about the Ontario Hockey League, you know that the Cornwall Royals used to be a team in the Ontario Hockey League. They were first a team in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, but then they transferred over to the Ontario Hockey League. They won 3 Memorial Cups, all 3 while they were in the Quebec League. One of those 3 in 1981 when they beat our Kitchener Rangers. But, proud franchise. It didn't go so well for the team once they transferred over into the Ontario Hockey League because their Quebec fans were like, hey, we're not going to Ontario to watch games and this and that. It just didn't work out. We're not going to support the Ontario team. Eventually, the Cornwall Royals would relocate to Newmarket and then to Sarnia, where they still operate as the Sarnia Sting. But I've long been interested in bringing the Cornwall Royals back into the Ontario Hockey League. I think it would be a great stop on the Eastern Conference in the league. Dale Howardchuk played for the Cornwall Royals. Doug Gilmore played for the Cornwall Royals. John Slaney played for the Cornwall Royals. Our buddy Paul Fixter used to coach with the Cornwall Royals. I could go on and on about the Cornwall Royals. But hey, if there was some league officials in Cornwall this week, is it possible that they are considering bringing Cornwall back into the league some way, somehow? I don't know. But I shared that on all that OHL podcast stuff earlier today because I was very excited when I learned about it. A shameless plug for the OHL podcast as I bid you farewell from the show today and hope that I get to see you at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium either tonight or on Sunday, back-to-back home games for the Rangers this weekend. Josh Piercy and I, if you can't make the game, we'll be right here on 570 News Radio, your home of Rangers hockey, with your Harris Law pregame show tonight at 6:30. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.